Hey guys, this is Tait, and so this next podcast that we're doing, or that we've got done, that we're going to upload today, is a nutritional seminar that Keith Jardine and I just put on, and the help of Jody Escabel and Ruben Rivera. Got what I hope is some really useful information for everybody. It goes into a little bit of our histories, about where Keith comes from, where I come from, and kind of what our pathways have been towards diet and health. And unfortunately, I've got to leave town today. I'm in New Mexico right now, and Nate Marquardt just called earlier, and I was hoping to get a podcast with him because he's been super interested. He's another one of these high-level athletes that's really looking to optimize himself with nutrition, and I've been talking to him a little bit, and so has Keith. We've all been good friends for a long time, and he's been a guy that's been active, that's been looking to change up his diet because he's been feeling sluggish after cuts and this and that. And so we're hoping to have some good results with that, but it's not going to happen today. But this podcast is about 2 hours long. I hope it's engaging for everybody. I hope you don't tune out in it, and that we're able to keep it rolling. It's interesting, it's funny, and it's one of the things that guys have been asking for, about like, what do you eat like? How did you get where I am? And really the thing I think to listen to if you're looking to make a change in those ways is that it's not just every day. It's like, the me that is willing to eat hamburgers with buns and potato chips or whatever, oatmeal, even, like a lot of guys that are head nutritionists, like they advocate a lot of stuff that I think is horrific to tell people is safe to eat. But I couldn't have gone from that guy to eating how I eat overnight. And so I kind of go into a little bit about the progression of like what took me through and how to heighten my discipline and my sensitivities to the care and nourishment and nurturing of myself, really, I guess. So anyway, we're going to put this together right now, and hope you dig it. And please hit me up at taitimusmaximus, either on Instagram or on Twitter. On Twitter, I can get back to you with any questions or what you want future podcasts to be. Also, yeah, Breaking Bad, we just did that Ozymandias, whatever they say the best episode ever is. Really crazy to see, man. I'm as blown away as anybody, and what a bunch of fun, man. What a huge amount of fun to leave behind. And the finale is going to be just sick. I think there's 2 episodes left, so get fucking ready, beautiful savages. It's going to be amazing. And you can hit up my man. He's my lead guy at Santa Fe, 10th Planet affiliate, and kind of he's, I don't know, like as far as putting together video, he's piecing together this podcast, and kind of my right hand guy all through it is at the Ruben Rivera. It's not the real Ruben Rivera, is it? It's the Ruben Rivera.
Exactly.
A lot of guys just need titles. A lot of guys need titles. I don't know why. He's trying to make excuses to not sound grandiose, but we know, hey, people are important. They need that, the real this and that. So the Ruben Rivera, at the Ruben Rivera, at Natronovich is my other oak here, and it's NATRONAV or OVITCH. I don't know. Google that shit. And Keith is at Keith Jardine 205. And Jody is at Jody Escabel. So please hit us up. Hope you enjoy. And without further ado, peace.
I'll start this thing like.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Tait. This is Keith.
Hello. Hey. So this is how it started. Like I did a couple nutritional workshops in my studio in Albuquerque, and then Tait goes, "Hey Keith, you want to do one? We're gonna do one here. We're starting the whole life challenge here. We're gonna do one in Santa Fe. Do you want to come do this nutritional talk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Now I'm here, and we're doing a podcast. We got a webcast going. We got a bunch of people here. Like, wow, man, you don't do anything small, do you?
We're trying to live into it.
Well, I got my. I'm new to this. On it, I'm taking the alpha brain.
Yeah.
So we'll see how smart I come out. Like, I don't know. man. So
It's like a nootropic. I don't know if you guys have heard of it or anything, but there's a bunch of things out there on the market that are like help receptivity to like memory and cognition and sleep rhythms and all that kind of stuff. And like the idea is that it puts you in like a deeper REM sleep sooner, so you recover more and that you have more clarity through the day. And one of our friends owns this company, onit.com, and they sell this thing, Alpha Brain. And so I don't know if you, like this. I call the Dean of Caffeine now. He's Keith Jardine. He used to fight for the UFC and old training partner for years. I don't know how long ago we met, a decade or more maybe. Yeah. But you know, he's kind of followed like what my path has been also, is like coming from a professional athletic background and then and finding out like a little bit about like here's how I was eating like at the highest echelons of sport and what I thought was good eating, you know, and then I'd find out a little bit more and I go, ooh, that was maybe deleterious to my health, and so I'd try a different tact, and so like the whole last 10, 15 years has been like a tightening up and a shaving off and a learning new things and being willing to be a hypocrite kind of to what I knew yesterday, you know. I've been tripping out a lot about like everything that I thought that I knew, I've been wrong most of my life. 80% everything that I knew, I've been wrong, 100%. But it took me a lot of time to find that out, you know. And that being the case, like things that I really believed and held on to be true that I needed to let go of, still today, I got to consider that the things I'm going to tell you maybe isn't the best. It's the best from what I know from the evolution to where I am today. And so all we're kind of giving you is my experience, and Keith's giving you his experience and of what that's been. And from a competition athlete standpoint to, you know, where I am now as kind of an aging athlete that I just want to continue motion, and my job now is kind of physically demanding sometimes, and so I want to stay in the utmost condition for that, and I want to keep my body moving for as long as possible. So I'm hoping to speak to that a little bit today. And Keith, the same thing. He's been like coming kind of like when I stopped fighting and we kind of came back together, you know what I mean? It's like because Keith was still training all the time, and it's weird. It's like I surround myself with who I'm around, you know. And then when I started really moving in this other kind of area, and then Keith started too. It's like we just kind of came back and came back together again.
Exactly. I can pinpoint the moment too. It was pretty cool. I don't know where your recent journey started, but mine was a lot of guys. You see, you look at people and say, that's a healthy person. I want to be like that person's healthy. Oh, that guy's morbidly obese. That guy's highly inflamed. That guy's not healthy. But that's not really true. And a lot of people say, well, I look good, so I'm following the right path. But that's not true, because my last fight was a little over a year ago. And if you saw me step on the scale, I dropped down to a lower weight class for my second fight. I was at 185 from 205. And you said, man, Keith's in the best shape of his life. Like, Keith, look, yeah, I got more abs than I've ever had. Like there's a picture of health right there. But you know what? I was sick, man. I could barely move. I was a walking dead. I was basically a zombie at that point. I went out and did one of the worst fights of my life. I lost to a guy that everybody around me thought that I could beat up. So everybody afterwards has been pushing me to retire, and that's where I started this journey, is because, man, I'm doing everything everyone told me to. I got the best nutritionist in the world, and I'm following all of his advice. I'm doing everything he says. I'm training harder than ever, and what happens? I go in this fight, I can't even move. I mean, the week before the fight, I was grappling with a guy that was like 150 pounds, and he's holding me on the ground. I couldn't get up. What's going on here? And then so after that fight, this is kind of where it starts for me. Is everyone's pushing me to retire, and I'm like, man, like, what am I gonna do right now? And I start thinking about like something's in my diet, like it's not healthy. I get my blood work done, and everything's way out of whack, man. My adrenals aren't firing. My testosterone is way low. My hormones are all messed up, and so then I start really trying to study. I haven't quite found the path yet. I just know I got to find something else, because now that you're thinking about retiring, you're thinking about, I got the rest of my life. Like how am I going to live? Am I going to? Yep. I train twice a day every day just so I don't get fat. I mean, that's what I do. I train twice a day. I go run the hill. Not to get better at my sport, so I don't get fat. I'm eating all these carbs. I got to balance it out somehow, you know. So I'm at that point in my life, and then I'm taking things out of my diet. I never told anybody this before on time. I even seen a hormone doctor, and I got on testosterone cream, and I'm doing that to get my testosterone. And I was really pumped up at the point, man. Like this is gonna change everything. I'm gonna feel 10 years younger. I'm not gonna be a zombie anymore. I'm gonna everything's gonna be great. And I was pumped up for a little while, and the placebo effect worked, and I was feeling great right away. And then a month later, I started training again, and same thing, nowhere. Like I'm hitting my head against the wall. I'm grinding out. I got no.
With the same diet, you've got the same diet you've been going.
Same diet. I'm trying to eliminate a couple things.
And what does that look like?
I'll go through the thing. That's the thing is I even the doctor that prescribed me the testosterone and all that. He had me do a week-long diet. He said, "You know what, Keith? This is the best diet I've ever seen." Like he really did something. And the guy was, I've never seen a diet this good before. Like you're really like.
Right.
Yeah. I was eating every meal. I had my quarter cup of grains, serving a protein, piece of fruit, you know, just a broccoli and chicken kind of thing, a little bit of salad with canola oil on it, that kind of stuff. And I thought I was trying so hard, and I had to do that.
And the reason you think it's a good diet is because it tastes awful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why you feel like you're doing something good, because that's not fun to eat that. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is healthy because I am suffering through another piece of dry chicken and some broccoli and some grain. You know, that's the deal.
Yeah, you're going to keep that up for the rest of your life.
Right. So people are like, yeah, my shit's on point.
Yeah. And that's where you get roller coaster. But I think this is for later in the conversation. Me and Tait, we'll talk about whatever. Okay. So I'm talking about where I was and how I met Tait. So I was doing the diets. I'm doing the testosterone. I'm doing all that stuff. And I'm thinking about getting ready to start fighting again and getting training again. And I'm going to do this. I'm fixing my health. And then again, a month later, I start training, and I hit rock bottom again. And I have no energy. I sleep. When you're training, you sleep, eat, and rest, and get ready to train again. And that's it. And it's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
But you just think, oh, that means I'm doing a good job training.
Yep.
So about that point, almost exactly that point, I go to an audition. Tait and I do auditions around here all the time. It's kind of a joke between.
It's always for different parts.
It's always the exact same part. If I don't see Tait at the audition, I'll call Tait up on the phone, and he'll start saying lines to me right away from the same audition. So this is a funny story. I haven't told you this yet. So I get to the audition, and Tait's there too. I'm on my bike. I'm late. I was scrambling to get there. And Tait goes, I see Tait in the lobby, and when's your call time? Oh, mine was 10 minutes ago. So we get up there, and Angelica pointed this out to me the other day, the casting director. Tait called me out in front of everybody and goes, "Hey, Keith's late. Just want everybody to know that. Keith's late." Yeah.
It comes in whenever, when you got that kind of acclaim and fame to you, you can do whatever.
Well, neither of us got the part. Anyway, so after that, I walked down, and Tait finished before me, and he was sitting in the chair. And this is like one of those, like, you go in your life, and this is one of the crucial moments in your life. And that's the way Tait is he's always there to help somebody. Like, I won't get into what you did last night, helping out these two strangers. But I come down, and Tait says the same question he's been asking me for about a year now. Like, how's your diet? How's your dietitian going? And for the first time, like, I was like, oh, before, like, you know, because you got to drink the Kool-Aid when you're fighting. Like, it's perfect, man. It's right on. I've never done better, blah, blah, blah. You got to drink the Kool-Aid when you're fighting because you got to go and fight somebody. But for the first time, like, you know what, Tait? Like, I was like, yeah, I'm not so sure. I'm just trying to find this other way. Like, I'm researching stuff. I'm taking stuff out of my diet. I've been doing, I think I told you I was doing the testosterone, but that's not working so well, and this and that. And then Tait starts going, like, talking about this bulletproof coffee, this butter he puts in coffee, and about talking about Mark Sissions and Rob Wolf, and I remember you texted me a couple pictures of their books, and like, he talked to me for 45 minutes. We're just sitting there in the lobby.
There's nobody left at the audition.
Yeah.
We're in an empty, huge hangar, and we're just sitting talking for an hour after.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I left, and, you know, like, I'll give it a try, and I won't get into too much. I know I'm getting a little windy right now, but. Like, man, when I first started doing it, like, okay, I want to give this a try, like, in your mind, and that's what everybody's the same way. It's like, what, I'm going to eat a full grass-fed T-bone and for dinner and some cauliflower with a stick of butter in it. like, okay, like I'm gonna give it a try. Like I never ate fat. That was a problem because when you're counting calories, and that's what I did. I got my degree in exercise science from New Mexico Highlands, and you figure out your resting metabolic rate, and this is how much calories I burn every day. So that's how much I work out. So I could add X amount of calories on top of it. And oh my God, that's prison, man. Yeah. So anyway, so every morning, real quick, I'd step on that scale and be like, hold my breath, because that's back then. I step on the scale every day because I've got to control my weight because I didn't know how to eat back then. I thought I did. So I step on the scale and look down. All right, here it goes. Wait a minute, it didn't move at all. Next day, I don't understand. I lost a pound. All that food I ate last night. And then the next day, lose another pound. I ate so much chocolate yesterday. I don't understand.
And what about your performance?
And the performance came up later. I've been calling, like, I think Tait was annoyed with me. Like, this is like a few months later. Like, I'm working out the least I've ever worked out since my fighting career began. And I was, Tait, man, I just showed up to Jackson. I sparred. I had probably the best day of sparring I've ever had. I grappled. I hadn't even been working out, and I grappled and I beat everybody. Like, this is crazy, man. Yeah. And it was just what a life-changing thing, man. So that was my life-changing experience. That's what got me on the road to this paleo primal lifestyle. But Tait, how'd you get started?
So yeah, I don't know, man. That's a lot. Thanks. Yeah, that was crucial. Like when I just started, I've been my own experiment, right? I've been like forever, like, and sometimes to not very good ends, but lately better. And so the first thing I started doing nutritionally, I looked at a book called The Zone Diet. And the Zone Diet was a thing that CrossFit had really pushed out. And this was, I don't know, midway through, I guess, my fight career. And I'd get into it, and it's a pain in the ass. It's like measure your food, measure all your macronutrients, and eat them in this magical array. And it takes into no account the quality of food, where your food comes from, or anything like that. It's just solely looking at macronutrients, right? Macronutrients, to back up, is just carbohydrates, fats, proteins, right? Everything is in one of those three things. And so whatever you're looking at, like, is a carbohydrate, a fat, or a protein, and your body treats it as such. Your body's an indiscriminate vat of acid, and that's just how it sees it. It doesn't care what your intention is when you eat. It doesn't care any of that. It's going to have a response based on what those nutrients are, right? So, and I had a nutrition. I mean, everybody does. Everybody's got a nutritionist, a dietitian. Basically, what that means to me is that you think that you know what you're saying, and it's frightening, because every one of those people that I've ever met has such backwards information, like archaic information, really. The FDA doesn't have my best interest in mind, I don't believe. I don't want to get into a poly rant here about any of that, but I've got to look at that, and I've got to speak to that, because there's doctors that are sentencing people to death. There's doctors that are saying, "Oh no, you can't do this because this is dangerous," and that speaks into cholesterol levels, which I'll go into in a little bit. Yeah.
Before you go, like, you bring up a good point, like you talk about dietitians, and that's not what we're here to do. Is we're not here to.
I'm not one.
Yeah, tell you how to eat. Yeah. This is just our path and our journey, right, and what we've found and discovered, and what's rocked our world recently. Yep. And
yeah. So I started doing that, and like anything else, I was like, if it has any efficacy, it's going to be that I do it 100%. I'm going to really need to throw myself into it. If I kind of do it 90%, I don't really have an experience of that thing. So I learned that later in life, that I just have to throw myself into it and avail myself to the process. And so I did that with the Zone Diet. Had some results. It was okay, whatever. But I'd still have that up and down. I'm a depressive person by nature. I'd have ups and downs all day long emotionally. And my performance, like, if I didn't, I'd drink this stuff called Endurox, which is like, basically everybody knows, it's like sugar. It's like, basically, it's a real nice Kool-Aid. It's a fancy Kool-Aid that they've got a guy with a big muscle on the front to say that it's not Kool-Aid, it's for health, right? So if you can get the right picture of the guy on your product, you're golden. So, and everybody I knew at the gym, same thing. And then my nutritionist was, eat a bowl of oatmeal, have some bananas with that in the morning, have a green salad, and maybe a couple hard-boiled eggs, and go train. And so I'd do that, and I would be crashed out. I mean, we'd train pretty hard for a couple hours.
You'd probably nap before you trained, right?
I'd get in the car and I'd drive, right? Yeah. So at that time, I'm living in Santa Fe. I'm training in Albuquerque, and I'd commute every day, sometimes twice a day, or sometimes I'd stay down there if I could nap over at Isaac's house or something like that. And but that's what I would need to do. I'd go and I'd eat and I'd train, and then I'd eat and then I'd nap and then I'd train and then I'd go home and then I'd sleep.
If you got a nap at 8 a.m., there's something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and so a dude suggested, he says, well, you have a bowl of oatmeal, and then you have a banana, and you have a glass of orange juice, you have a couple eggs. So basically you had a bowl of sugar with some sugar on it, with a glass of sugar, and you had a little bit of protein. And that's the way your stomach is viewing this. So that's what happens. So every time that I eat that, my pancreas secretes insulin for every carbohydrate gram that I eat. And my blood sugar that's how I'm fueling myself, is off blood sugar. All exogenous, all from outside of my body, is what I need to keep fueling. So I need to eat every 2 hours, and every doctor says that too. Hey, eat small meals 4 to 5 times a day, right? Everybody's heard that. And then I never questioned whether that was true or not, because all these people that had PhDs were saying that. And so anyway, I followed that for a while. I thought that was 100% right. Then I met a guy named Rob Wolf, who's one of my biggest mentors today, and he's a super nerd. He's a sports nerd. He's like a super athlete that is a biochemist, and he's just a bad dude, and he's real bright, and he started off a vegetarian, and he got real sick with it, and so he became not a vegetarian, and then he started looking into Paleolithic eating by one of his teachers, this guy Lauren Cordain. And Rob wrote a great book called The Paleo Solution, which really speaks to that a lot. And so then I ate paleo for 2 months straight, solid. It was the first time I'd cut grains out of my life. At that time, I'd gotten a job in L.A. I was back and forth. I got a job on a movie, Jonah Hex, and then I had acid reflux so bad that I had to get my throat scoped, which is super unpleasant. And I came to while they had this big steel cord down my throat, which was unpleasant for everybody in the room. And then they put me out again and all that. And they said, you got scarring, you got esophageal scarring, And one of my dad's friends had just died from esophageal scarring that turned into cancer, and that was a wrap. And so I started taking Nexium because all the over-counter stuff wasn't working anymore. And so I left for this show, and it was like 10 days it turned into. And I just started eating paleo maybe 2 or 3 weeks before that, which is just a real clean diet, just meats, vegetables, fruits. I ate a ton of fruit because I was still real sugar heavy. I was a sugar burner. I needed that to get by, and I needed to get it through, right? So that was part of my evolution. I didn't notice till I got back, and I got to my counter at my house here, and I go, and that bottle of Nexium was there, and I tripped, and I was like, oh my God. I took 2. I hadn't had any occurrence. I couldn't sleep. I had to sleep sitting up. If I drank water, it would come up, like all that in the night. I was tortured by this. And I hadn't had one occurrence of it. And I took the stuff because that's how scared I was of all the, but I hadn't thought of it at all. It doesn't occur for me anymore. It hasn't occurred for years for me. So I know, and that was the first thing. I'm like, the FDA just wants to give me drugs. They don't want to talk about food. They're selling wheat futures. They're selling soy futures. They don't want to teach me about, like. So then I started looking at the pharmaceutical companies. All want to look at, you're in a bad spot, so you come broken, and so we have a pill that's going to put you back to health. Whether they're going to give me something that's a leptin inhibitor, whether they're going to do a lap band on me, there's some kind of something they have to fix me, instead of I come from complete wholeness and wellness, and how can I eat myself and nurture myself back into wellness? And so that's kind of what my journey's been a little bit. Go ahead.
Should we explain a little bit for like what paleo is? Like how many guys here like are familiar with paleo, trying to eat yourself? And most everybody here.
Right on.
Yeah.
Are there any questions about it? About a paleo diet, or what that looks like, or
what does it even mean?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I guess a good way to start is with our archaeological record, we evolved for human beings for millions of years. The modern human, they say, is 200,000 years, 150,000 years old. And we evolved eating a certain way, living a certain way. And about 10,000 years ago, they looked at the archaeological record, and then all of a sudden, like, we got really sick. Our life expectancy shortened. They say, I've heard we lost a few inches of height. They look at our teeth, our bones are more messed up. Just from that, they can tell we got sick all of a sudden. What happened 10,000 years ago was the agricultural revolution. And people started farming and growing their own grains and all that, and bringing the stuff into their diet that they've never done before. And I guess that's what paleo really is like going back to I'll still Rob Wolf's of Grok's time, and it's like what did we live like, and what did we evolve eating like, and what did we do before that period that made us so much more healthy. And so all the paleo guys and that's what I do, is I think to myself all the time in life, whether it's eating, whether it's day-to-day stuff, is like that's my little slogan. I go, is what would Grok do right now? Like he was the Paleolithic man wasn't stressed out all the time. He would go and chase and hunt down and catch huge game and go and fast on this saturated fat and this good food, and then he would fast for a little while and wait for his next meal. There's a lot more than that too.
And a huge aspect of that too is that we weren't assaulted by cortisol levels all the time, right? Like right now, all day long, we've got different stressors, whether it's paying your light bill or what the kids are doing or how your girlfriend's behaving or whatever the thing is, whatever it is that goes on, you've got this stress, the guy in front of you driving and you're all the time, right?
The main thing is,
when I just am fed and fat and I'm sitting and I'm like, cool, I feel good. You feel good? Cool, we're here. We got a mammoth we just killed. I mean, and it's like, and what they say is that they just kicked it a lot, and that you take care of your business, and then if a tiger came up or something, boom, full alert, like full cortisol level where you need it, but not to where your own hormones, cortisol is a hormone, is rotting you and killing you, it's stressing you, it's creating lesions in your arterial walls in your heart, and it's causing a lot of emotional stress, so there's all that aspect to it too. And
so that's the two main way you go, right, is with the chronic inflammation, the stressors and all that, and how the grains actually work as it's a poison we taken into our body. It actually, we were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
It actually leaks through your gut. Either you heard it, a lot of people heard of leaky gut syndrome. A lot of people have that, but I think everybody, and that's what you were saying, I agree with you. Like everybody from one, at least a little bit or a lot, has leaky gut. Like if you're eating grains, like
there might be a spectrum.
Yeah.
But we all fall in there somewhere. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when people talk about a sexuality spectrum, and there's homo and there's hetero, and there's very few people all the way here, very few people. Everybody's kind of. It's like with that kind of thing, with whatever ill health, whatever's going to rob your organism. It's like that with wheat or grains. Like not all grains, but like especially in wheat or anything with gluten in it. Like we had a big talk about lectin yesterday, and lectin's an important thing to know about if you don't.
Yeah. What lectin does is it lodges itself in your intestines as you're digesting. It kind of protects the grain from being digested, and it lodges itself in. And what it does, it works as an anti-nutrient. It stops you from absorbing other nutrients, so you're starving yourself of nutrients when you eat this wheat or most grains. All grains are at a different level, but so it stops you from absorbing nutrients. At the same time, it stops you from absorbing other food. Like a lot of people say, oh, I can't eat red meat, I'll get bloated. And a lot of people say, I can't eat red meat and I'll get bloated. And it's not the red meat that's doing it, it's the lectins in the grain and the wheat that you had with that red meat that's stopping you from digesting everything else. That's why IBS, a lot of people get that resolved when they go paleo. A lot of digestion. Like first thing this week, people are doing the whole life challenge. Like one of the things that a lot of people notice right away is I'm not bloated anymore. Like wait a minute, the regularity.
Well, there's a great book out there called Wheat Belly or wheatbelly.com. There's a guy that kind of specializes in creating a real tight outlook about like what it is that wheat does for you and why it's bad for you. But this is the thing, is that when Keith says that it creates a protective layer on, that grain is always fighting to survive, just like every other biological output, right? Like anything that's biological is looking to go and progress and strive to procreate. The same with that, even if it's in your guts. And so what that does too is it causes little pinephreina holes in your guttural walls, leaks. So regardless of whether you have IBS or not, like which is on the one end of the spectrum, you're still in a low level of sickness. And that's what I found after I went off grains for a month, and then I reintroduced them, and I kind of got the flu a little bit, is what I felt like. And I thought that's just a coincidence, you know. But we did it in like there was a few of us that, like Nate and Heather and I went out and we had pizza, you know, and then I went back and I went clean again for a month, and then again, and I got sick again. I was like, God damn! So I was sick my whole life, and I never even knew I was sick. It's like insidious in that way, right? So I didn't know what I didn't know. I had no idea that I was in ill health until I took all that stuff away and then reintroduced it. And I go, oh my God, I had no idea how bad I felt. It's like with a lot of stuff, I just don't know until I know, you know.
And that's the thing. That's another thing that's become my motto of lately is like, how bad did you used to feel before? Once you realize how bad you did feel, and like you're sick. Like I was sick when I was fighting. I didn't know I was sick. I thought like this is the way it is.
Yep.
But now I feel better. I feel a little bit better. Now you're obsessed with, if I can feel this much better.
And it's also an ego blast. It's like, oh, I'm a soldier out there. I that's what I do. I scrap for a living. Like, and so you feel like, yeah, so I feel a little bad, you know? Yeah, and it kind of, it's like, it's a little bit of its own sickness in a way of where you feel like, I'm supposed to feel horrible. But I just ask anybody that competes at those levels or that feels that bad, or even, you know, if you're sitting like how I am now and I just want to feel as good as I can until I die, you got to consider that all those things aren't necessary. Life doesn't need to be that kind of a struggle. And so that's what my diet's become too, is that I'm not a strict paleo eater right now. I heard a talk from another guy that really formed my life into my next evolution, kind of, and his name is Mark Sisson. And yeah, if you're writing all this stuff down, it's like Rob Wolf. Rob is ROBBWOLF.com. And, oh, is it up here?
No, there's way more of this.
There's what? Oh, yeah, I'm not good with the spelling. And then Mark Sisson's place it's called marksdailyapple.com, and he writes a great little blog out there too. Another guy that I like a lot is bulletproofexec.com. Is another one. That's a guy named Dave Asprey. But what I learned from Mark is he was just so open and gracious and generous in the way he would speak of things, and he didn't admonish me to do one thing or another or this or that, but what he'd said was that, you know, you just want to maybe look at these different things as maybe being, is that true? Have you tried it that way for a long time? Maybe you want to try a different way. And here's the first guy that I heard talk about sugar burners and fat burners, which every one of us falls into one or the other category. And so what that means, what I'd heard Mark say, and I hope I can do it justice, is that my body burns either off blood glucose from sugars that are coming into my body, or it burns off of fat. And so that's exogenously coming from outside of my body that I take in, right? And that's how my body treats it. So if I'm eating a bunch of carbohydrates, and by a bunch I mean more than 150 grams of carbohydrates a day, and when you go out from here and you're looking at this, you're going to have to learn, like, what does a gram of carbohydrate look like? Like if I eat a bowl full of steamed broccoli smothered in coconut oil and butter, that looks like about a third of a Snickers bar. They're equatable in that way, right? So, like, I need to know what all these different foods are, how they affect my guts, right? So, because I want to keep my carbohydrate load underneath 150 grams a day, most times 5 out of 7 days of the week I try to. So that's why it's important to me. Anyway, to go and bastardize Mark's science, is that once that sugar runs out of my blood and it can only hold so much, I get hypoglycemic. I fall out. I need a nap. I need to refuel. I need Endurax. Whatever the thing is, and I'm irritable. My moods are crazy, up and down. On zone, on paleo, when I was eating a whole bunch of fruit, like I ate fruit just so I could get over the hump of not eating grains, You know what I mean? So I'm eating apples and almond butter. That was a great way. And I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying that's a great stepping stone to get to where you want to be. So that's what I did. And then I found that wasn't cutting it anymore. Sweet potato fries, I was like, awesome. You can have those? That's legal? All right, we're going to eat those. And I can dip them in mayonnaise? Even better. But the fact is then, for me, that's a treat. It's not a staple of my diet. You know what I mean? So what used to be like, this is a staple food for me, now it's like, I'll eat that sometimes. And so the road's gotten narrower for me in that way. And so back to blood sugar, I want to go ahead.
Yeah, it's just getting off that roller coaster. I have a gym in Albuquerque, and this is what I try and preach over there. And I see it. I see people coming in the door and doing that, where sometimes they think the workout wasn't even long enough or hard enough,
right.
And it's like because they're on that roller coaster where you got to burn off all that glucose in the blood that you ate that day, and so you can maintain your body image. Like, and the thing is, when you're doing that, you might lose a couple pounds for a week or so because you're killing yourself with cardio, and maybe you cut back on your diet a little bit, but it's not sustainable.
I want to say that too. I don't even know what cardio is.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's
not part of my
word.
workouts.
I hate that word.
Yeah, I have no idea what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you think you mean, but I don't know what that is really.
Exactly. But getting off that roller coaster, like we're talking about insulin and all that. Yeah, I had to be that way when I was an athlete. I ate every 2.5 hours, and if I didn't eat, I'm cranky. I'm in a bad mood. I'm gonna road rage. I'm gonna punch somebody in the car next to me. Anyways.
And nobody wants that.
Yeah. So every 2.5 hours, I would panic. I asked Jody. Jody's here. She's here, my fiance, and she would.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody. And she's seen me panic a few times on that. And it's because your brain is used to using that glucose for energy. And it's like the easy form of energy for your brain. It's like, I don't even care about using this fat anymore. I got this easy sugar that I'm using for energy. Like, so your brain just gets spoiled that way. And every 2 hours it needs that shot of energy. Yep. And then there's no way when you don't have that carb in, it doesn't know how to go to ketosis. It doesn't know how to go to fat for energy. You got to train it that way because it's lazy. Your brain's lazy right now if you're eating carbs all the time.
And your body, you train your body to burn sugar, or you train it to burn fat, right? And by fat, I don't mean fat like off your body. Well, I'm talking about fat, the macronutrient. And I want to make that distinction too. Fat, the macronutrient, versus adipose tissue. And it gets a bad name because we sloppily call it the same thing. And it is not the same thing. It's not at all. Fat does not make you fat.
Eating fat makes you skinny?
Say that
what?
enough.
That's what everybody tells me. Fat makes you skinny? What?
You know, and I used to cut out all the fat. If it was fat-free, boom, I'm in there. You know what's awesome is when big marketing started looking at fat-free stuff and they go, look at that, Snickers bar, fat-free. You know what I mean? You can go and get Gobstoppers, or you can get like all the candy at Walgreens right now, it all says fat-free on it. It's awesome, right? So that's healthy, right?
That's done great for
It's
our
kind of
health.
like the way organic is right now. If it says organic, that means something. To me, it means you're a fantastic marketer. Thank you very much. I've done more research than that. You know, it doesn't mean much. It can, but that name as a marketing tool doesn't mean much in itself to me. And so going back, like, so I'm a sugar burner. I need to eat that much. I need to have that all the time. What happens with cells? They're just like rats, or they're like us, or they're like that wheat. They want to recreate itself. You know, they're just like people in the trailer park or whatever. But they'll have 12 or 15 kids. You know, your cells won't if they don't have food. You know what I mean? That your cells won't split unless they have an excess of food. Where in the trailer park, they're fine. They don't give a shit. But what they need is a lot of sugar around. So if there's a bunch of sugar around, boom, they split rapidly. And what happens is everything, all the bad stuff that attaches to it, all the free radicals and everything that's floating around your body that attaches to your cells, sloughs off, becomes part of your holistic system again. So now you have that. You're welcome. And your cells split prematurely, which is also, you know, leads to a lot of different things of hyperinsulinemia and cancers hasten with that. The more your cells split, the more rapidly aging occurs, wrinkles, skin, the list goes on and on and on, right? So the slower that I can retard that process, the better for me as a whole unit here. And your cells aren't different. You know, the microcosm isn't different than the macrocosm here. And so when that's happening and they're splitting all the time, awesome. what also isn't happening is my adipose tissue is never being taken into consideration by my body because my body never needs it. It's treated me like I'm a punk. I'm going to eat every 2 hours or else I'm going to get crabby or sleepy or whatever. So I take care of myself like that, right? Which is deleterious to my whole body. And there's dietitians, nutritionists, doctors out there all over saying eat 5 meals a day separately, like and whatever. If you like, I know that women CrossFitters eat maybe twice as much as I do. It looks crazy, you know, but I see it all over the place. High level athletes, like I don't need to have 0.75 grams of protein for my body to. I'm as big as I am. It's not like I'm getting twice as big or something. I'm going to be this size, you know what I mean? And so I'm not growing in a way. All I'm doing is getting nutrition for myself. So then that goes into a fat burner, and then this is long-winded, and I'll shut up, and you can hear Keith's voice a little bit. But so why it's important then to eat fat, and what happens is like going back to Paleolithic times. You know, if we've killed that mammoth, we kick back, we got no cortisol, boom, and then we're spurred on, and we got to go, and maybe there's a few days, and we need to eat again. It takes about 4 days for that mechanism to switch, to start taking adipose tissue as energy so that we don't die. You know, you can live for a month without eating, maybe, you know, like. So, and it's not comfortable, but your body will eat itself for that long, right? But that's an uncomfortable time period. But if I'm always eating sugar, if I'm a sugar burner all the time, I train myself to be that, I never ever tap into my adipose tissue stores, and I'm always trying to do cardio, and I'm always trying to kill myself at the gym, and let's go for a run. And I know a guy that would take ibuprofen 8 or 10 a day, Isaac, and because he would hate himself as an eater so much that his stomach would bleed. But like we get into these crazy cycles. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in a room full of wrestlers, but you never seen more six-packs with guys going, "I'm so fat." It's ridiculous. Yeah. There's a whole other kind of prop going on, but so then the fat, I switch and I go, okay, I'm going to try this, Mark. I'm going to try to eat fat. I said, what do I do for cravings? He says, and I bought a can of it. He said, use Artisana is a great little label. That they make coconut oil and coconut butters. So I'd get Artisana coconut butter, and I'd take a spoonful and eat it, completely sated. If I wasn't, I was really hungry, I was in a mood, because I'll eat if I'm in a mood, trust me. I'll take another scoop, and I'll eat it, and I'll be like, it's satisfying, because fat has a sating hormone. Like glucagon is in proteins and fats, and it'll sate that desire, right? It'll sate that leptin urge, which is different than lectin, that is going to drive you to be hungry. And so that's what happens, and that got me through that the way fruit did when I first went to paleo. So then I go, okay, I'm going to keep my carbs down. I'm going to try to get in a ketogenic state. So when you're in ketosis, you'll start producing ketones, and you can mark it. You can pee on strips. There's different ways to mark it and find out. Basically, the gist of it is I want to keep my carbs under 100, under 150 a day. And I want to stay there. If I do that for 4 days, it's going to simulate that same starvation that Grok, that we were talking about earlier, Paleolithic man, is experiencing when he's looking for his next meal. But I'm eating fat, and I'm eating steak, and I'm eating broccoli, because I'll tell you, a bushel of broccoli does not, like, and I like to go to the movies, and I'm going to eat popcorn when I go to the movies. I'm not trying to make this a religion, right? I'm trying to make it easy. A large thing of popcorn, awesome. 90 grams of carbohydrates, I'm in. All I do is I just eat fat and meat or whatever all day, and I'm fine. And then that would be like a treat for me, you know what I mean? But like other than that, I'm eating broccoli, or I'm eating small pieces of meat. And then what I notice is the more fat that I'm eating, the less I'm eating. Like as far as volume, I'm not eating a ton. Like nobody's ever had a couple of pork chops and been like, just got to get me some more pork chops and get on down, you know, and you eat all the rest of them. Maybe I'll have those sausages too. And then they go to the grocery store and buy some more bacon. But you see that all the time with Triscuits and Cheetos and Doritos, and people run out of that snack food and they're used to eating it. Man, they will eat bags of that shit, right? And so I wasn't experiencing that anymore. And I was like, God, this is a freedom. And that was the thing, is I had a happiness and a vitality. And then what I noticed too, I was like, I was all day long, I was steady. I wasn't a subject of my emotional state anymore. And I thought, God, that's got something to do with the other. The other thing is, and I'll close with this, is that cellularly, when I'm a fat burner and I'm just utilizing fat, so I drink what we call bulletproof coffee. Dave Asprey made popular on bulletproofexec.com. You can read all about it, find out about it. We'll probably talk about it more. But I'm not calorically empty if I don't eat food all day. I drink fat and coconut oil in my coffee, and the fat being from grass-fed butter. I'm real careful in particular about where I get my meats and my butters and what I ingest in my body. So I'm not calorically deficient, but I'm drinking that, and this minute I'm not, the minute all my fat stores exogenously, then endogenously, my adipose tissue takes over, and my body will start burning that. And so what I found too, I'll go into this after that. So the cell is hungry, and so it eats everything, and it's like, I'm not splitting because, there's still free radicals on me, and it'll cannibalize itself before it splits. It will prolong that state that I'm looking for. And that goes into a whole bunch of other reasons, and there's a bunch of data you can look towards that if you want. But
that's kind
anyway.
of the problem we're
To
having
Keith.
right now. Is where do we go, Tait? Like we talked about, we barely touched on inflammation. We kind of start talking about insulin right now. Like do we want to get more science or like how to eat?
Do you guys want questions or
questions or about one more thing, like what he was talking about right now, and why the brain is like that, and why it needs that sugar for energy. First of all, sugar works on your opiate receptors. So does all it works on your opiate receptors, and you get very addicted to it. And what happens is, it's like cocaine. Like, I think if it came out today, it would be like a regulated drug. Like if sugar came out in the market today, like people would research it and be like,
Right.
well, we can't just have this out on the streets.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's a crazy thing, though. It's like, they do that with cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they can put skull and crossbones. It's going to make your baby have half a face. People are like, it'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, we make choices for ourselves, and that goes into that other thing, that addictive process inside me. Why would I make choices for myself that are going to ruin my future self? Why would I make my future self's life harder by the choices I'm making by just being sloppy today when I could just clean up a few things?
I got something for you. On the road out here, I was listening to a podcast with a wheat belly guy, and he made a really good point about how backwards nutritionists are. You hear nutritionists and people telling us to eat a certain way, but this is how backwards they are. They think, well, white bread is really bad for you. There's a lot of proven thing about white bread. It leads to cancer and a lot of other ailments. So, and it's proven if you switch from white bread to whole grain bread, like you'll have less occurrence of cancer and such, and your inflammation will be slightly less. So then we're going to go and promote everybody eat whole grains and whole bread all the time,
Yep.
and you're going to be super healthy. Eat whole grain bread every day, and that's akin to saying, like, you just made me think about that. Like, well, unfiltered cigarettes are really bad for you. It's a poison. It's going to kill you.
Throw a filter on there.
Put a filter on there, and everybody do that. It's so good for you, and that's the way we look at it.
And it used to get marketed before it came out. I mean, you look at those old advertisements for it, it's like they marketed that as like healthy stress reliever. You know what I mean? It's like, I smoked for, I don't know, 10 or 12 years, a long time, huh, Mama? Yeah. And it was, this is my mom in the back. And, yeah, it was great. It's a great drug. It's awesome because if you're feeling too excited, it'll mellow you out. If you're feeling a little depressed, it'll pick you up.
But
It's a
it's
cure-all.
not going to last long.
No, and there's a downside, I think.
And that's what goes on. Yeah, that's what downside. Chronic inflammation, by the way, is common to every disease that we don't want to get. We don't want to get cancer. We don't get heart disease. We don't want to get osteoporosis, arthritis. Everything, inflammation is behind there, and that systematic inflammation comes from having the leaky gut. When that pathogen, when that lectin leaks through my gut, like we're talking about, when we eat grains, it's in our blood floating around. So our immune system has to attack that, and our inflammation rises because of that. And we become systematically, and our whole body becomes inflamed. Same thing if we work out too hard, and think. We keep digressing all over the place, but think about if you're leaking in your gut and say 20% of your immune system every day is attacking this pathogen that you're eating every day. Say you got full-on leaky gut, say 80%. So that means you got 20% left to deal with allergies, to deal with cancer, to deal with everything else that your body needs to fight off.
Yeah. And that's the same thing that I think too, like as like I say, as an aging athlete, that I go and I look at myself and I go, a guy put it, and he says, say you got 10 points in the bank every day when you wake up. If you crush a workout the way you did when you're 25 or 30, and that takes 8 points right now, but before it only took 4, you got to put in that you're going to need to recover, right? And I never thought about that. I was just always like Keith. Like, I mean, I would look to Keith and I would formulate my life after that. It's like one of the hardest working people I ever met. And I was like, if I just have a work ethic like he does, and if I just drive like that and we just go, like, that's kind of how we all learned. It's like, we're just going to work as hard as we can. And that's going to give us a good result, right? I mean, it just, like, that was the promise, man. And maybe it is if I'm 24. You know, and maybe that's true for a while. I saw a lot of fighters come and go with that. There's some great guys that never really did a lot of cardio, that didn't do a whole lot of like endurance training, right? They didn't do a whole lot of, like, there wouldn't be sprint intervals. They wouldn't really work hard in the gym. They wouldn't do circles. But they had endurance like crazy.
I would get mad.
Because they're 24.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I started my first pro fight, I think I was 33.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, that's aged. I mean, right now you've got guys that are 19, that are 22, that are smashing it. I think John Jones is 25 or 26 right now. He's a world champion. Like, I mean, and maybe he was that way when he was 23 or 24. I mean, it's a crazy evolution that I'm saying is happening. But, like, I don't look at that. And so now I look at it and I go, maybe I don't go into a 30-minute CrossFit WOD the same way that I would as I did 5 years ago either. I need to let myself recover. Or tomorrow's going to be different for me than it was before, you know? And so looking at things like that, too.
Maybe fitness will be our next time here. I want to get
Right.
into a bunch
Yeah,
of that
I
stuff.
know. I'm
Hey,
sorry, does it seem like we're all over the place?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is diet soda, is that kind of like a filtered cigarette?
Yeah, the question is diet soda like a filtered cigarette?
I think it might be the unfiltered, actually.
Yeah, man. It depends. So then my question is, and I might cry with the answer. So is dealing with sugar and the insulin response that's going to happen? Like people said, oh, Mexican Cokes, those are good because it's real sugar and there's not a whole lot of different additives in it, right? It's a pure form, right? And then diet soda, that's what I drank for years. I Diet Cokes I liked a lot, you know, but they all have aspartame in them. They have stuff. It's like it is like the cigarette, man, because it's like it goes. We know that causes cancer. We know this isn't something that is like I think it may. We know that what is in diet soda gives us cancer.
Doesn't it say it on the can?
I'm not sure, but all those ingredients, if you look them up, they're all carcinogenous compounds that we drink in copious amounts. And there's a lot of stuff out there like that. So I'm going for either an insulin response. I'm going for type 2 diabetes over here with the real Coke, or I'm going for cancer over here. So make your choice.
Yeah.
I mean, and it becomes like that, and that becomes my choice. And where the tears come in is a woman that helped raise me from forever. She used to drink. It was the first cola, and I and my mama too loved it. It was Tab Cola, it was called, and I heard it was taken off the shelves for a while. When it was taken off the shelves, Mrs. Bauer bought cases of it, like cases, lined her garage with it, right? And I drink Splenda. Like when Splenda came out, I was like, I don't give a shit that Donald Rumsfeld made it, even though he's an evil son of a bitch. It's delicious. And I'm not drinking sugar, right? When it came in, I was like, when's Starbucks gonna catch up and put this in? And then they did, and I was like, success, corporate success. And I was like, brain lesions and mice, whatever, that's down the road. And I would make jokes all the time. And I got to spend some time with Mrs. Bauer, who got diagnosed with cancer like in January or something this last year, and has undergone a bunch of chemos, and she's gonna die way before she would have if she didn't drink diet soda. And so I'm looking at that, and I'm going, that's your Splenda, and that's the no time at all. That's like brain lesions are down the road, ha ha, you know. And this woman's gonna die. You know what I mean? And she's going to die as a direct cause for what I believe is to diet soda. Nobody's going to say that. There's not going to be a doctor nobody's going to say that. Nobody wants a class action lawsuit like that. But that's what we're up against, is that you've got a whole industry that's out there that's feeding you stuff that's going to kill you. And you're going to take it without any kind of fight. You're going to be like, oh, I just love that stuff, though. You know? So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Once the body becomes physiologically dependent upon sugar, What measures can you take to combat that with diet or exercise or things of the sort?
Well, that's what like I'm having fun with it. So I guess I'm doing the whole life challenge. My gym's doing the whole life challenge right now, and people aren't allowed to have a lot of sugar and grains in their diet, and people are like fidgety and having trouble at work and all that, and like getting through that first. It's basically a drug. Like, and if you're really on that much sugar, you're gonna have to go through withdrawals probably, but it's not gonna take that long. I say, I tell Taylor, just stick it out for a week is what I try to tell everybody. If it's not a week, 2 weeks at the most, just stick it out. But the other side of that is so awesome. Like Tait mentioned it before, like once you're using fat for energy, like it's one of the most freeing things in the world not to be dependent on your food every 2 hours.
Yep.
Yesterday I ate my first meal at 6 o'clock. I didn't eat all day till 6 o'clock. I was busy at the studio and whatever.
How many workouts did you do?
I did a yoga class, but Tuesday before that, I fasted the whole day without eating anything, and I worked out twice. And back in the day, I would think, I can't do that. I'm going to catabolize myself. I gotta
Catabolizing meaning you're gonna eat your own muscles, like you're gonna break down, right?
I work real hard. Yeah, I gotta eat 2 hours. If I don't have 25 grams of protein every 2 hours, I'm gonna lose all this muscle I try to put on. So you're talking about sugar, getting off the sugar cravings. Before we get, I'll tell you why you're craving sugar. Your brain. We talk about your brain is using that sugar for fuel, and that's an easy source of fuel, and it's fat and happy up there. Like I don't have to work to get my energy. I don't know how it works. I'm not I'm not a scientist. But what happens is once your sugar level, your blood sugar is elevated, your pancreas. You hear us talk about insulin a few times. Releases a whole bunch of insulin, and what that does, it sweeps all through your blood and transports your sugar. And it's going to transport your sugar right away, and it regulates your sugar. And if you worked out a lot and you're still insulin receptive, it might take some to your muscle, but it's probably going to store a lot of it as fat. Anyways, so your insulins get released, it sweeps up all of your sugar and takes it and stores it. Now your brain's like, wait a minute, I don't have any energy. I don't know where to turn for energy. So you start panicking. I need food right now. So you got to eat. That's a roller coaster. I got to get my sugar again and get high again. So for the first week, it could be, if you're eating a lot of sugar, it could be pretty hard. But then what Tait reminded me of, one trick that I use for the first couple weeks is almond butter. Almond butter is not the greatest fat for you. It's high in omega-6 and all that, but that's a great crutch to get you into the paleo lifestyle. Just having that little, because you're used to taking the science, having that little bit of almond butter, having that little bit of piece of dark chocolate, which is a way better fat for you. Having those little crutches throughout the day that are high fat, really low sugar will help you get you through that week. Macadamia nuts are great.
Yeah.
Things like that, and I try to get everybody to have snacks. Someone told me yesterday, I was reading the blogs, and he's like, I went to lunch, a really hard day. I was low in energy. I was having the cravings. I went to lunch, and a business lunch, and there was nothing on the menu to choose from, so I had a little bit of salad and a plain chicken breast, and that just sounds like death to me. I don't want to eat that. So I advise him.
No choice at all.
That's no choice at all. Right away, just keep those little things handy in case you have to do it.
Right.
But the most freeing thing is I can fast. I don't have to eat. I'll have my bulletproof coffee or not, and I'll eat whenever I want to. And it's not like people say fast, and I wanted to get in here somewhere and start preaching the benefits of fasting, intermittent fasting for short periods, longer fasting for long periods. And that's a horrible thing to tell somebody that's just thinking about starting a diet. Like, wait,
Right.
I'm going to have to fast. But on the other side, it's a freeing thing. It's like you don't have to fast. Me and Tait were talking yesterday, and it's a fun thing.
And we're idiots too. Yeah. You gotta understand. When I say we're experimenting on our own shit, it's we're just let's see what happens. I don't, but it's and then it becomes the best information ever. And then we have different conversations. And friends start doing stuff, and you're like, God, everybody's having a similar reaction to this, and everybody's feeling better and looking better, and it just becomes a great thing. But that fasting conversation yesterday is I don't know. I don't know if it was you. There's a bunch of people, and I don't get to see Keith a whole bunch, but there's a bunch of people they were gonna go get something to eat, right? And so now it's I never feel I need to eat, but if some friends are going to eat, man, I'd like to go sit with them. You know, it's like a social thing. It's nice, you know. And but I told myself, just in my head, just to myself, today's a good day. I'm going to fast today. I didn't know I was going to get invited to lunch later, and I was like, and then I just keep to that. I'm like, I told myself that. So that's the hard thing is when I tell myself, and then that happens.
That's Tait's athletic background. Like, it's like if they tell you, like, all right, we're gonna go run 8 hills, and you get there, now we only gonna do 6. Well, I heard 8, so I got to run.
Yeah,
8.
it's such a stupid thing.
It's just an OCD he has in his head. Like if you guys, and that's the thing about paleo is learning, and that's the big thing about paleo. The huge and the most talking about freeing thing is like just learning how to listen to your body. If you're not dependent on sugar, like the other day I was hungry. I don't know. I got home and I just gorged myself on whatever, and I was hungry. Like no guilt, whatever. I'm just gonna eat. And some days, you know, like we're talking about the sneak fast.
Right.
Like you just look around and wait a minute, it's 6 o'clock and I haven't eaten yet.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
You might have wicked output that day too. Like, man, I banged out 2 workouts, and I've been up since 5 a.m. and now it's 10 at night, and you just notice I haven't even eaten. Maybe I'll see how long I can push it. And then you get up Tuesday and you wake up and you're like, all right, maybe I'll eat at 3 today. And then you go and you see how you feel. But I don't even trip, man. It's not even like it's not something I'm trying to do. It just is. Then it's like it just occurs, and you're like, oh, here I am. I'm not dependent on this. And that whole thing, I'm not people. Then I get people that are maybe not morbidly obese, but 40, 50 pounds overweight, that are, which is crazy to think that we don't think of that as morbidly obese. As a side note, but it's like, how fat can I get? Like people are just like trying to. Anyway, it's not a contest, folks. The thing is they go, God, is that healthy to not eat for a day and a half, Tait? Or 2 days, like I went on a 40, and I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm gonna go ahead and look in the mirror, and I'm looking at you, and I think my answer's self-evident. You know what I mean? It just becomes like all of the things that I thought were true before weren't. And the other thing I want to mention too, especially for athletes and people that are trying to put on size or that are trying to exact a aesthetic look for themselves, is the other thing that Mark helped me with a lot, because forever I've been told, and I know everybody's been told, that after you do a workout, like with big compound movements, you do your hardest workout, that's when you need to eat your most carbohydrates of the day, because that's where the glucose is, and you've depleted all those stores, and they've sapped the ATP in there, and that's what the energy transfer is for your muscles to fire for the next time.
Transport your protein to
yeah,
muscle.
and it'll transport. That's when the cell wall's thinnest, so you can get all that stuff, right? Okay, cool, sound. I've been doing that for a decade. Great. And then Mark says, when I asked the question, he goes, yeah. He says, that's great. And he says, and if you're a sugar burner, what if you're not dependent on that glucose all the time? Is one thing to think about. A whole nother thing is what happens, what's the result of doing huge compound movements, of really incorporating, you know, your ass and your legs and your back and your big muscle movers, your big weight movers. What's the result you're looking for in doing that? It's not just to break down that tissue. I'm looking for a hormonal response. And it's the time when your growth hormone and your testosterone in your body is excreted the most, right? Your body goes to repair those things because you've broken your muscles down. You've damaged your muscles. That's what, and then you repair. You don't get stronger, bigger, faster while you're breaking your muscles down. You do it in the recovery aspect later, which speaks back to the thing, if I have a scale of 10 points and I use 8 for my workout, I don't have enough for recovery if I'm a little older. So now, you know, peeling, anyway, that's a whole other thing. I know, I feel like I'm all over. But, the thing is that what food does is it mutes the hormonal response. And so if I eat within 90 minutes after my big workout, I've also nullified all the testosterone and growth hormone help that I would be getting from that workout, if that makes sense. I hope I said that clearly. So he says, just maybe if you've been trying it this way, try it that way. And so then I got into that conversation, and I don't know, maybe twice in the last year I've eaten heavy right after a workout, but mostly I'm not super hungry too, and sometimes I won't eat till 6 or 8 hours after a workout, and I don't notice any bad, debilitating illnesses coming up in my life. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think. When do we get to that?
Well,
like,
I'm at this level where I just get energy from the air when Like, I don't know if you ever been at the airport when the Hare Krishnas were there, but they talk about that a little.
Are we going to get into that right now?
Are there any other questions on anything that we've covered besides? We'll get to you right.
Let me just take a little stretch break, like everyone's in their chairs. Take a little stretch.
Yeah, stretch as you will if you want to. If not, we'll just keep going on. Yeah, do your thing. Go ahead.
I just want to know what you have to say about heart disease
With the amount of fats that I eat.
Can I talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So the question, there's two questions. One is what to talk about cholesterol and heart disease with all the fats that we ingest, and the second is piggybacks that basically on what do we eat? What's our diet look like?
I'll lead you into the cholesterol thing, but I'll lead you in with a story we talked about earlier. Jody, my fiance, was at a station. She's got them all doing bulletproof coffee. Bulletproof, you put butter in.
Because Jody's a professional athlete, and she's also EMT and firefighter and all-around excellent
Maybe
person.
we should get her up here to tell the
Yeah,
story.
come on, Jody. Jody, come on up. Come on. Where's better for Jody to sit, here or over here? On this bench or on that bench?
Either way.
Okay. Yeah, just pull that bench over
So
if you can lift it.
Jody's my fiance. I got to say that again. So, my
And since
fiancée,
she's way over
Jody,
there, I'm not afraid of her punching me. So I'll say all that.
she's also a fighter and aspiring stunt woman, a medic, a firefighter, yoga teacher, gym owner. Anyways, so
Real life superhero.
she was at the fire station. She got everybody drinking bulletproof coffee. I guess we should get in bulletproof coffee. It's a way to help you with your fats and help you with your cravings. Everyone get on bulletproof coffee. There's a lot of fat in it. It releases that leptin, and you can go like, oh man, I'll forget to eat till 2 or whatever because your brain's completely satiated, and it's a good way to train your brain to use that fat for energy. Anyways, she got the whole station on bulletproof coffee, which is coffee with MCT oil in it, which is derived from coconut oil and butter.
Now, how many guys are at the station? You got to get in the microphone. 6? 6 or 16?
6.
Uh-huh.
There's 6 guys at the fire station. Firefighters are a different breed of people.
Is it fair to say like firefighters is like, if you're talking about first responders and all that, they're like the most highly trained and highly coordinated physical specimens as far as in that realm. Like, I mean, like you've got to be in good shape to be a firefighter. You're in top condition.
Right. You're pulling 48-hour shifts. Everything's physically grueling, emotionally grueling. Sometimes you don't sleep that for 48 hours. Sometimes you sleep all, you see the firefighters at the grocery store. Oh, we're paying you guys to be at the grocery store. Well, we got to eat. It's sometimes you're just pulling those super long shifts, and you're physically. It's a physically demanding job, whether you're pulling people out of a building or you're helping the obese guy that fell in a shower that's 360 pounds because he can't get up by himself. Like we see it every day. It's crazy.
And so what happened? You're down there. You've got everybody on bulletproof coffee, which is basically a blend. It's a blended nutritional beverage of consists of a single origin coffee. We'll get into toxin-free coffee later. Grass-fed butter and coconut oil or MCT oil, which is a medium-chain triglyceride that helps promote energy and consistent levels throughout the day. So
Yes.
that's what we're talking about when we're speaking about bulletproof coffee.
So the guys are on board. They're excited. I come to work. I'm wired. I'm excited. It's like, hey, guys, we got to try this. Maybe, okay. So we blend it up, and everybody's just flying high. Everybody's got this great coffee buzz, and we're like, we hope we get 1,000,000 calls, and then a fire, and then this and that and that. And it's 48 hours, and we're nonstop. We're training. Cap's like, let's go out and throw ladders. And we're like, yeah, let's do it. Like this, this energy level is crazy, and maybe you miss dinner, which is so great because before I was on the, hey, I got to eat every 2 to 3 hours, and I'm training for a fight, and now I'm running calls. So great, this guy is having a heart attack, and I need to eat lunch because it's been 2 hours, so now I'm grumpy.
And you think of how serious that is too. If you're in that position and you did miss that meal, and your glucose levels are down to nothing. Like, how are you going to perform when you actually have to save a life? Like, I'm just talking about I'm lazy. I don't do much in my life. Like, I never have to pull a baby out of a burning house. Like, what happens if you're not optimized then, you know?
Right, and that was the cool thing. We started to feel this great energy for the whole time. It's awesome. It's great. So then, it's awesome. It's changing their lives. You know, as firefighters alone, these guys are taking it home. Now their wives are drinking it. They have kids. You know, it's this great thing. So I go yesterday and introduce a different coffee, a white coffee, to the guys, and yeah, this stuff is great.
It's a secret blend.
It's secret. So I'm introducing it to this station because these guys are on board, and I'm like, yeah, just touching base. You guys are still bulletproofing every day, and they're saying yes, it's great, it's awesome. I've lost this amount of weight. We're doing great. They're very paleo based at that station, and one of the guys is always a little bit up and down with everything about his diet, and he's even kind of an emotional guy, and it's depressed. Yes, no, maybe. Weight's coming up, weight's coming down. And he's like, you know what? I just went to the doctor, and I got a physical, and I'm not doing the bulletproof anymore, and I'm not so paleo friendly anymore. You know, they said to stop. The doctor said, you're putting what in your coffee? You're putting butter in your coffee, and you're eating how much red meat? Absolutely not. No, like. No, you need to stop.
That just kills me, like the doctors, like, man, like, how has this been working for us so far? How is this no saturated fat, low fat, keep your cholesterol down? How is static drugs working for us these last 20, 30 years since it's been introduced?
Right.
Like,
especially when you look at the two main death rates in America, cigarette smoking and obesity-related illnesses. They're up around 500,000-600,000 apiece. Like, that's one of the biggest killers. Nobody talks about that.
So it was just a little heartbreaking because this guy that was starting his path, and maybe he needed a little more time. It's that it doesn't happen overnight. It's not just, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to stop eating wheat,
Right.
and I'm not going to eat sugar, and it's a drug. So this guy just needed a little bit more time, and then he had this doctor. Well, I'm a doctor. I went to school. I know what I'm talking about. No, don't do that. That's bad for you.
probably had the same nutrition class I had, and as an exercise science. Like, I mean, what's that? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like that. That's all the information that's out there. You know, is like at the high level health practitioners. There's that. The other side of that question for me is that what I think about cholesterol. So I don't know. I'm loud, right? And then people are like, oh, what are you doing? What are you up to? And I tell them, I'm excited to tell you about what I'm up to. You know, I'm up to a bunch of stuff. And so then people are like, I'd like to try that. And so then they start doing that. And then it wasn't until like a year later, I guess. And I guess my path with it started, I was in New Orleans for a job for like 3 months. And I'd started then. And I wasn't even blending the coffee then. I was just shaking it up in like an Nalgene bottle and hot coffee and butter and coconut oil, and I drink it that way, and I got a good functional effect from it, right? As far as mood stabilization, plenty of fats all day. I was sated my hunger, all that kind of stuff. What I found is that I got maybe as lean as I'd ever been. I never tested my body fat, but I was super lean. I was like, you know, like an 8-pack of abs and striated everywhere and the whole thing. And I felt great. I didn't feel like I was working towards that. My workouts were between 5 and 12 minutes a day, hard, but like that's all the time I had. I would bang it, but that would be it. There would be just that, and not every day. Maybe 5 days out of 7 a week, and then I was like, dude. And I left. When I left, I was I think I was 232 or something like that when I left for the job, 232 pounds, and when I came back, I was like, I felt like I was like getting ready for a fight. Like I felt like I was I felt like I was moving at a way when I was like halfway through a camp, and I was like, I got to be like 219 or something. I'm pretty sensitive to my body. Like I know kind of from how I'm moving what my weight is. So I get back, and it's not till 3.5 months later, I weigh myself, and I'm feeling like that. Like I got to be 215, 219. I was 237 pounds, leaner than I'd ever been, and super strong. And so that was my first experience with it, and that's when I started talking about it. And so then after that, and people started seeing, they go, Jesus Christ, you know, and so then after that, I go, I've got some responsibility. I'm a gym owner, and and people listen sometimes, and so I go, I better check my blood, because questions like that about cholesterol came up, and I'm not unconscious going through my life. And so I go, I've got a responsibility to find that out. And so I look into it, and all my levels are great, except that's a red flag that comes up. And other people that I'd known that had their blood checked that were paleo, that were CrossFit athletes, they'd also had red flags come up on their cholesterol, right? And so this was an occurrence that I was seeing happening in my community, and the first one I saw, Lacey Mackey, who I've got a butter truck, a coffee truck with that sells bulletproof coffee in Los Angeles. She was the first one that I saw that had heightened elevations, and they said, you need to look at this, and we need to really talk about this. And then, and then when I looked at it, I go, Jesus, man, I'm at, I don't know, I was like 295 or 305 or something like that was my cholesterol level. And I didn't feel alarmed at all. And I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think the bottom's about to fall out whenever. And I was like, I feel great, man. And I look fine. I don't feel like it's an issue, you know? My dad has he takes statins. He does all that shit for himself. And he pretends that he's eating healthy. He knows he's eating healthy. He eats pasta every day. And like he's who he is. Go ahead.
Man, that's a whole thing about, there's a lot of books out there, the Great Cholesterol Myth. I
haven't read that yet. I just saw that. I want to get that. Yeah,
I was going to order that one too. There's a lot of stuff out there, and what they're saying, what science is really coming to is like, man, do we want to get political here about leptin, static drugs? I mean.
Yeah,
but,
it is what it is. Here's the truth as we know it. And we're, take it for what it is. A couple guys that have been hit in the head a long time.
Exactly, get hit a lot. Cholesterol, they say, like, inflammation is a main precursor to heart disease. Inflammation, what they say is, rubs your artery walls like a sandpaper and makes them all rough, and that helps it collect these platelets that make it hard and cause atherosclerosis. There's a lot of science that inflammation is what leads to heart disease, and not necessarily the cholesterol. And I was reading one guy that was saying the static drugs that came out in the late 80s, what they do is they reduce cholesterol. Also they do is that they lower inflammation. And that's how they have a marginal effect on heart disease, very marginal effect on heart disease. And they're saying it's not really because of the cholesterol, it's because of the reducing the inflammation. Now, what's going on at the same time, they say what happened at the same time in the late 80s is there was an incredible boost in Alzheimer's disease. And Alzheimer's, coincidentally, affects a part of the brain that's made up mostly of cholesterol. So we're talking about $1 billion industry. If they came out and said, like, static drugs aren't good for you, keep your inflammation low by not over-exercising, keep your stress down, and eat what we're calling a paleo-style diet, then that would just turn everything on its head. There's a lot of money behind that. I don't get too political, but I'm just saying, what we're saying here, guys, is just do your own research. There's a lot of information out there, and that's what we're in a whole new paradigm with this paleo deal there. This deal is, it's not about nutrition. It's a lot about nutrition, but it's not just about nutrition. It's about a whole lifestyle. We're in the information age, and that's what me and Tait are doing. We're online every day, Googling, Twittering, following people that are a lot smarter than ourselves and getting information from them. And it goes through holistic medicine. It goes through diet. It goes through your nutrition. It goes through your fitness. It goes through just your stress level in everyday life. I mean, it encompasses everything, this paleo lifestyle, and it's all the bottom line is keeping your inflammation really low and staying happy.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the big thing is like when I look at my purpose in life, it's like be happy and be useful, and like how can I make myself the most useful to my community and those around me? You know, I think of myself as a global participant. You know, I'm a proud American. I love what the country's built on. Like a lot of what happens. I think that we're in a huge corporate takeover in a lot of ways. I don't feel less bad that we're airstriking Pakistanis than people that got killed in Boston. Like I don't feel less bad for anybody. I think it's all horrific. Like that's not my stance here today. But what my thing is with the advent of corporations coming into our lives, we have so much misinformation that's out there about these statin drugs, about how much, as soon as they start selling food, I mean, on the stock market, and they're paying people to not grow corn or to grow corn, like as soon as they're playing with all those markets, that's a huge red flag for me to look at personally, you know, and so I go into that with a grain of salt if I'm hearing from Pfizer that X, Y, or Z is healthy for me. You know, I've got friends that are on brain medications for different illnesses, and then they say, well, but how it's going to affect you is going to be different from how it affects you than how it affects you. So just try it out for a while and see. You know, so here's your antidepressant that may induce suicidal ideations. Well, shit, I thought that's what I was trying to avoid, you know, and then if that doesn't work after you survive, if you can survive 6 weeks on it to be your own guinea pig, I'm like, they don't know anything. They know nothing about what's going on with my health. And so they're trying to induce a foreign object into my health instead of going, hey, maybe if you ate healthier, maybe if you found out what real actual health was. And so that's what I'm looking towards. And so that brought me up with the cholesterol thing too. I want to finish up on, I got high cholesterol. Am I worried? Not a bit. What I think is that like my family's got a history of Alzheimer's, and that like Keith said, there's a lot of studies out there that are linking low cholesterol to Alzheimer's and to dementia. There's not any like collusory. Is collusory a word? How's that? Did I just make that up? There's no collusion between disease. Between disease and cholesterol.
Did you just ask your mom?
Yeah, because she would say, I wouldn't even ask. I would have just played it off if she weren't here. I would have played it off like it was, and whatever, people, roll with me. But she'll say something.
I make up words to Jody all the time.
No, and there's none.
Just Google.
What happened was
Google that on your own.
And please fact check it. What happened was cholesterol was the first body that they could measure and mark in blood, and that's what they started looking at, right? And so that was the first measurable thing, and heart disease was a huge thing in America, not because they're saying eat 9 to 12 servings of grains a day at the FDA. Couldn't be that. We need some statins out here in our lives, you know what I mean? We need to make Upjohn some more money. So that all became a whole nother conversation, and so they started going, well, these two exist in the same thing, but I don't know a whole lot, but they call that junk science, I think, and they're not together. They're not conflated, and so if we don't have causation from cholesterol, and in not any case ever of cholesterol to heart disease ever. Yes.
So as a nurse, I see a lot. If you take a lot of cholesterol and it builds plaque in your arteries, which can cause a stroke.
Right. Sure enough.
So if you're eating that much cholesterol.
No,
That's the
when
inflammation
you just started and you wanted me to accept that as a fact. When you have a lot of cholesterol, it builds plaque in your arteries. I would disagree. And what I'm going to say is there's a guy, Dr. Patel, who's been a great friend of mine and a great help because I was like, I want my people to know, please. Like I want to know if this is bad or what. Like I don't care. I'm hoping a meteor hits me anyway. But like for other people that would follow my diet, I would like them to live long and healthy lives if they'd like to. And so this guy hit me up, and he was a cardiologist. I'm like, what a stroke of luck that is. My whole life is like that. And he was a vegetarian, and he so he's an expert. He's the expert, man. He's the guy. And he said, I've got a 90 or 100 cholesterol, miserable, overweight, and I'm a vegetarian. And he says, and so I do an ultrasound or whatever, and I look at my arterial walls, and I can measure them. And then I look at them, and then I also see there's like road bumps, he said, that says it's what we call plaque deposits in a couple different spots right near my heart. And he says it wasn't until a couple of years of feeling awful, because we got to feel pretty bad before we want to change our lives. And then he said he went to a paleo diet, and then he started feeling better, dropped his weight. He felt great and present throughout his life. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to check my blood levels again. He checked them again, and he was at 310 on his cholesterol levels, which is alarming for a cardiologist, right? And it may be the only in-shape cardiologist that is breathing, because those guys aren't the picture of health if you've ever seen any. But he also then went and checked his heart again. He says, my arterial walls were thinner and all the plaque deposits were gone with an induction of 2/3 greater cholesterol. I don't know anything. That guy's the doctor. You know what I mean? All I know is, oh, cool, that gives me a free and clear. I feel good. And then there's these other books that I'm excited to read about, and I'd love to learn whatever it is you come to find out. But for me, I don't believe that. Now, for me, with my pedigree, I've read a couple of books, and I've been hitting the head a whole bunch. Like, I don't have an awesome scientific background, you know? But that's what I have an ardent curiosity about this stuff, and it is my life. And so that's what I found, and I hope that answers and satisfies your questions.
I've been circulating this article around, and I gave it to Jody to give to her station. It's Dr. Dwight Lundell. He's had this article. It's great about how he used to be the cardiac surgeon, and he was the chief of staff actually at the Banner Heart Hospital in Mesa, Arizona. And he has this book out right now. You're just talking about books, so everybody can look up the book called The Great Cholesterol Lie, and that's what that's all about, is how everything really stems from inflammation and the rubbing the artery walls raw and all that, and it's not really from the cholesterol. So there's something too you guys can research. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say, like, there's a lot of stuff that, like, we've held that true for a long time, for over a decade or 20 years now, right, about cholesterol. I remember back in the early 90s when I first I remember one time I was doing crystal meth for 3 days when I was like 17, and I was like, shit, I should eat, you know? I should have something. I should have some nutrition in my life. And it was like 7 in the morning, and I'm drinking a Bud Light. And I was in this apartment I hadn't left. My mom loves these stories, and
the evil eye right there.
And so I go in this apartment. There wasn't my benefactors there that were housing me. They weren't ripe with options for food, but there was some bread, and so I took some bread and I saw multivitamins, and I was like, oh, cool. And I couldn't get that down. There was no way, and so I balled it up, the bread, and I chewed it a little and swallowed it, and then I took a couple multivitamins and swallowed it with beer, and then I did 2 or 3 pull-ups on the door jamb. I thought, cool, man, I'm exercising, you know, and then I went and sat back down, and so that was the extent of my athleticism at that time in my life. But I remember walking into a GNC and seeing, I don't know if you've ever been in the general nutrition centers. They're like the big chain that sells all the proteins and the thises and the that's and all that. And what they had then, in the amount of that they have protein powders now of all different flavors and varieties and boosted like this and that, whatever, they had, instead of that stuff, they had carb loading stuff. And it was all maltodextrin and stuff. And it was like huge tubs, like take 1,000 grams of carbohydrates for your workout to get, like all that stuff. And they're really inducing diabetes in everybody. And that was the flavor of the day in the early 90s. And so, like, when I look at it and I go, cholesterol and heart disease are the same. That's the flavor of the day there. And so I'm not saying that I know. I'm just saying I got to consider that all the people that are the top level professionals have been so wrong, and they have a lot, billions and trillions of dollars at stake in keeping that myth going. And it might not be true. That's all I'm saying. Yes.
You started out speaking today saying this is the most I know today. It could all be wrong in 10 years. We don't know.
Right.
So I might add along with the cholesterol line. Are you familiar now with the breakdown of the bad cholesterol, the LDL, from an A to a B type? Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah, I just read a little bit today. The question was about, do you know about the A and B type of the breakdown of LDL cholesterol?
So I think at the end of the day, and what we know today, from what I know, I'm a lay person, not a nurse, but if you get locally tested, and if you have the VLDL, the bad cholesterol, and bad cholesterol is LDL, but it's actually broken down to A and VLDL. The B is the bad, the A is the good. So you could have really high cholesterol, as far as we know today.
Right.
And if you have the good HDL too, good cholesterol, you don't need any that is less fat as of today. So that's really the key as far as we know that I know.
Right, and to further that, it's like these are really arbitrary terms of good and bad cholesterol. Like those are up those are so subjective now too. I mean, they don't know what's on the bottom of the ocean floor. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much we don't know. It's like they're just giving names to stuff. And so, like I said, please do your own research. I mean, we've given you some ways you can go to find out more about that, and make your own choices and make it based on your body, how you're feeling. It's like I said. I mean, I'd shoot speed, dope, and drank every day since I'm a little kid, like for a long time. I'm here, right? So I don't say that for any other reason except like I've made some poor health choices in my life. And it's not that way right now. Do I think that eating paleo and having a high cholesterol level for a couple of years is going to be as deleterious as doing a hot shot and overdosing? Maybe not. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm going to be all right there too. I don't know. So, and everybody's experience is a little different with that. I know that's a little, maybe that's too much information. But it's just like and take it with a grain of salt. That's where I come from with it, you know. And I'd really like to too. Like do your research there and talk about like different levels. Like Keith had mentioned, like some stuff that is rich in omega-6s, and like I'd like to go into like what supplements are maybe if you want, like what you take for supplements in addition to food. Everybody's always asking me about what do you take post-workout, or what do you take to get ready for a workout, or all that kind of stuff. And what do you do?
All I care about post-workout is I make sure I get my shot of fish oil in.
Right.
Again, it's like everything we do is dealing with inflammatory and workout causes inflammation, and that's what I was so worried about, and that's where I still am in my life, is dealing with my failed adrenal glands from being an athlete for so long, and trying to reduce my systemic inflammation. And the big way to do that, we'll get into the thing. You were asking me about us about what to eat in paleo. There's a lot of stuff going around like, oh, it's like the Atkins diet. It's not like the Atkins diet. It's similar, where it's a lot of animal foods and all that, but you really got to pick your food apart. You said you eat 150 grams of carbs a day. That's a lot for most people. Tait's a really big man. I don't count my carbs. I don't even care about carbs because I'm not eating a lot of fruit. I eat fruit once in a while, and I get most of my carbs from vegetables and
chocolate.
And chocolate. Yeah. Okay, so the difference with Atkins and paleo is Atkins, you really differentiate your meat. There's omega-3 and omega-6 fats. Omega-6 fats are a lot worse for you than are not as good for you as omega-3s. And that's what we really want to look to in our diets, is where can I get omega-3 fats.
And they need to be a balance. Like they need to be in a balance. And you can go to I think most chiropractors they can give you a test. You can order a test from originalnutritionals.com. They also supply fish oil, really high grade fish oil that's in a liquid form that I don't really go anywhere without, and that we also sell here. So you can test that stuff. You can find out where you're at yourself.
Yeah, and Paleolithic. I need more water. Ancient man had a ratio. You got a ratio of omega-3s, omega-6. Ancient man had a 1-to-1 ratio probably. Modern someone on a standard American diet might have a 30-to-1, 30 omega-6 to 1 omega-3 acid in their body, or 40-to-1, and we want to strive towards 3-to-1. But I'm gonna get mine tested next week. I want to get close to 1-to-1 as I can. That's what to me that's my main thing. The main thing I look at in the diet is does each meal have enough fat in it, and is it omega-3s, avocados, coconut oil, grass-fed butter. And then you get into your meat, like man, I don't know where I want to go on this. Like with the Atkins diet, you can eat any kind of meat, but that's not necessarily good for you. That grain-fed messes up the cow just like it messes us up. And I want to eat grass-fed cows that led a happy life, that's been out in the pasture, and just like.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that they put in cows towards the end of it are they'll inject things in their ear. They'll inject hormones in their ear that'll make them put on. I think in the last 30 days before slaughter, put on like a third more in body mass. Oof. Which is crazy. I mean, it's great for them selling that cow, I guess. But if you're just talking about weight for weight, but you think about how unhealthy that is for an animal to go through that. And then you wonder, like, what is that in there? And so, and Dave Asprey talks about aflatoxins and oxytoxins that are present because they're corn and grain-fed and sorghum-fed cows, and they're all fed all that to fatten them as much as they can so they can get the most for their product at the end of the day. What I do to combat that, people are always talking about, I can't eat grass-fed, or I can't eat quality meats, right? And people back home, man, I got a buddy of mine in Detroit, and he's like, well, I got a family and stuff, Tait, you know. And I'm like, man, you live in Michigan. Like, we shoot deer. Like, you got meat all day long. Like, what, you know, you've got natural sources of meat all around you. The other thing is I haven't hunted in a long time, but like I look at meat and I go to the grocer, and like I can pay $18 or $25 for a T-bone, for a grass-fed, grass-finished T-bone. It's a lot of money, man. But I just bought a cow with a buddy of mine here from a farmer that's in town, and we took it to a butcher, and I got 93 pounds, and I ended up paying like $3.70 or something a pound, $3.70 a pound. So that's cheaper than the crummiest, dirtiest meat that you can find at the cheapest grocery store in your local ghetto. And I'm paying for premium meat. So there's no excuses with that. It's like there's a lot of Lacey Mackey just wrote a great thing too for the WLC website. You can look at wholelifechallenge.com. I don't know if it's published yet, but about being prepared. About she travels a bunch for a job, so it's like being prepared where you go. And it's like I travel a bunch, so I've got a kit for my bulletproof coffee that I can make wherever I go. It's like I'm not going to be a victim of my surroundings and of my choices that other people are giving me. So I make sure that I'm about my business, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a bunch of almonds, and I'm going to take a jar of coconut butter. I'm going to keep my oil with me. I carry my own butter with me. And all that stuff. And so there's a lot of that stuff about, like, I just need be more conscious and more available to empowering myself so that I don't go, well, this is just all they had. You know what I mean? Because like my hometown has zero choices. I bring in groceries when I go there, like when I go to visit, because there's just nothing there. It's like, but I'm not gonna. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna go ahead and subject myself to that kind of eating. Like I care about myself, you know. That's a little off topic from fish oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's grass-fed, but then in the wintertime, he says that the grass is covered in snow, and he has to feed the corn. He has to feed the cows corn.
Right.
So is that a grass-fed?
No.
So there's differences. The question is that there's a farmer that she was working with that was selling grass-fed cows, but then said in the winter the grass is all covered up, and I'm just repeating this for the benefit of people on the internet that then he finished them with other things. So that's a thing that a lot of restaurants do too. I've got some friends that are restaurant owners in town, and they'll say, well, there's not the marbling, there's not the fat marbling as present. So the flavor is in the fat. It's not as present in grass-fed, grass-finished cows. So a lot of things like the major corporate farmers that will put steroids and stuff in the cows towards that last bit so that they get as big as they can. A lot of farmers that are more natural, organic type farmers will feed corn or sorghum at the end of their to finish the cow with. So for the last 30 or 40 days before slaughter, they'll fatten them with those kinds of things. To me, that's still a toxic animal. So the thing is I scrape together a few $100s, and in the summer I buy my meat. You know what I mean? And that keeps me all year long. It's like it's like instead of planning for my next job where I'm gone for a month, then I just plan for the year, and I go, okay, I've got plenty of meat that's in the freezer wherever I go, you know. And so that does that answer your question? Yeah, I would just. I mean, exactly. I mean, I don't want you to do anything. You do whatever you want to do, but that is an easy solution to what you're saying is the issue. Yeah.
I ask a lot of questions. I got a butcher back home I go to, and I ask a lot of questions. And you just got to do your research and get online. We're looking to buy a cow right now, and I'm sure Tait did plenty of research when he found his ranch. Someone told me, I was on a movie set actually, and told me that his family had cows, and they're all 100% grass-fed. He told me, like, cool, man. Like, what part of New Mexico? 'Cause we're in a drought. What part of New Mexico are you in? and he kind of told me, and like, so I had to drag it out of him. But yeah, they bring him pellets that are full of grain,
Right.
because there's not enough grass for them to eat off of. So you really have to search on it. But the information is all there, and I think that's what this is all about, is just everybody empowering themselves and doing their research and getting online and figuring out what is an omega-3 fat and
why is it important?
why is it important. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So we're online, I guess, and there's some questions from the internet that Ruben's going to go ahead with.
Yeah, first question comes from Mike Asmer, and he asks, is the ultimate goal to wean yourself down to a place of 0 grains per day, or do you find small amounts of grains necessary?
I'll go.
So do we need to repeat the question, or did they hear you?
Go ahead.
The question is, is the ultimate goal to wean yourself down to 0 grams of grains a day, or
Or do you find small amounts?
small amounts of grains necessary or acceptable?
I go with Rob Wolf's approach on that, and when I do my seminars back home, as I tell them, I challenge them is to spend a month following a strict paleo diet, completely eliminating any grains from your diet. And people say like a whole month. That's like that. That's a big commitment. But you're talking about the rest of your life. You can positively affect and change your mood and change your function for the rest of your life. In the rest of your life, what is a month's period? And so what I would say to the guys, like I would say absolutely every single grain and legume and even dairy I would take out of my diet for a month. And then you can start adding things back to your diet and see how that affects you. Like now I'm going to try some white rice, and
Right.
I didn't get bloated. I like that. It was okay, you know.
That's how I did it.
Yeah.
It's just like how Keith is talking about. And so what I like corn chips and guacamole. So maybe I'll have that sometimes. Don't judge me. And but I don't eat any gluten. I think I've had 3 servings of gluten in the last 4 years. Like I don't do it because it makes me feel horrible. And so after a while, I just won't accept feeling bad, you know. And I like they talk about rice as the non-grain grain is kind of what they call it, that it doesn't have a deleterious effect to your inflammation or to your gut lining. And you really want to take care of your gut. You want to take acidophilus, live cultures. That's a whole nother aspect that we don't have time for, maybe. I don't know. But so I don't eat any grains that are wheat or gluten based. I eat very small amounts of corn based grains, and I try to eat less and less, more for because I think I can make a difference against like Monsanto or GMOs or something. There's just know that unless you, in some places in New Mexico you can get away with it, I think, where it's natural. But like basically, if you're eating corn anywhere in the world, you're eating genetically modified food, and that's a whole nother aspect of conversation.
Wheat's the same way.
Yeah. And so I eat a little bit of rice, like maybe a couple times a month, and that's where I'm at with it.
But the way I am right now is like I look at the grains and like say a little bit of rice with my food. Is that really adding to my food? Like it's not really.
With sushi, it is. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Absolutely.
I would do that.
Absolutely. How dare you?
Yeah. But the other night we had ribeyes, grass-fed ribeyes with cauliflower. We mix the cauliflower up with a few tablespoons of grass-fed butter and some chives, and it was just freaking incredible. And we made some gravy to put on top of it, and it was like I'm not. There's no looking back for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of it. I never think, ooh, geez, I'd really love to have a pancake. I mean, it doesn't come up. And when they talk about like gluten having addictive qualities to it, it's like I really see that as not being addicted to that anymore. I don't crave pizza. I don't crave those things. It never comes up. The idea of eating syrup would be like, I would be sick for sure. And if I ate that, I would go right to sleep. There's no way I'm not going to be poisoned by that. And that's how I view it. I view it as poisoning myself. And why would I do that? And like to ask like, what do I eat? Like today I went out to eat for breakfast today, and I had 3 local eggs scrambled with red chili, with steamed broccoli, with chorizo that didn't have any sugar in it, and with chopped green chili. And then I ate, and hollandaise sauce. Oh, hollandaise sauce, so good. So I
make
hollandaise, bacon and bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, bacon.
Yeah.
It's nice, right? And so, or then at night, like I'm happy eating a juicy T-bone and broccoli with a bunch of like Mediterranean sea salt. And that's another thing, is salt, like, so important to our diet, not regular table salt. Like, I'm a dork. Like, I just got off this movie set, and I carry salt. I carry all that shit with me. It's in my stunt bag, a bunch of sea salt. Like, I'm prepared wherever I go, you know. And so that's how I try to eat. Go ahead.
For anybody starting a paleo diet, though, all the stuff he's talking about, that's the fun of it. And it's cool. You need a community around you. It's like, what did you eat yesterday? What did you eat today? Because you can think of any comfort food that you grew up with, and what you crave and what you think you can't eat in your diet because it's bad, like meatloaf. I love my paleo meatloaf, or sloppy joes and things like that.
Or spaghetti. If you want spaghetti, get spaghetti squash.
It's
I mean,
awesome.
that stuff it tastes like it came out with butter. It's like, it's amazing.
So just get on the Google machine and Google paleo, whatever your favorite food is, and you can eat it, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I think of it like non-narcotic heroin. I'm probably not going to shoot that shit. You know what I mean? And I think why tease myself? Like, I'm have something that's not very nutrient friendly to me. It's not nutrient dense food, and I'm also, it's really carbohydrate rich. The important thing too to say on a health tip is that it's horrible for you. It's awful for you. It is got. I'd heard a study. The guy Wheat Belly, he talks about it, and he goes. He says that like the glycemic index, which is a lot of people talk about like how carbohydrate dense a food is to release the most insulin from your body. I think that I'm saying that right. That to eat the gluten counterpart of the non-gluten food is better for you than eating the gluten-free food. So if you're eating something that's pretending to be gluten-free, you're maybe doing yourself more of a disservice than if you just ate the bread, which is crazy to think about. But like, that's the thing, is like, now corporate marketing is going out there and saying this is gluten-free, and that's going to be poisonous too. But now that they've got the new organic, right? Gluten-free is the new organic as far as a marketing catchphrase. You all got to be just careful and do your own research.
Well, a lot of times people try and like find I need to find a way to make my sandwiches or whatever. And there's ways. There's awesome.
It's called lettuce.
Yeah, but there's awesome gluten. Yeah, we got to make lettuce tacos all the time, and I like them better than the tacos I used to eat.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, it's cool just to learn how to not eat that way for a while. But there's like Julian's Bakery makes an awesome coconut flour bread. But it's cool not to like find those crutches right away and just learn a different way of eating. And then I'll use it every once in a while. I'll put it in the toaster, and I'll make my eggs Benedict over the top of it, and with my own hollandaise sauce that I made.
Yeah,
and
I think the big thing too is like, just keep asking the questions. Like, that's a great question. Like, you know, what about the gluten-free aspect of it? It's like, learn about it, like, and look that up, please. I mean, I admonish you all, look all that stuff up, find out more about it. And what's the next question?
Next question is, how much and which kind of dairy do you consume, and how good or bad is it?
How much, which kind of dairy do I consume, and how good or bad is it? I like to eat goat cheese.
love goat cheese.
It's one of my favorites, and whether it's on burgers or in my eggs or whatever. I didn't do it this morning because I agreed not to for the whole life challenge. And then I eat butter. I try to stay away from milk and all that stuff. Yeah.
Cheese.
And I will eat cheese. Like, I'll eat cheese now. I mean, I will, but I'm not this month.
After you do your elimination, though, that's one thing that you do is you bring cheese back in your diet and say, well, that's horrible for me, or I like it. I try not to do it every day. I like yogurt too once in a while, but I try not to get the habit of doing it every day. But I look for the grass-fed cheeses and the more natural cheeses with no hormones or anything.
And the other thing is if you're competing, I would tell any athlete to don't eat cheese because of the mucus involved, and you won't breathe as well. What's the next question? Awesome. Anybody else?
Does the mucus go for any type of dairy or just cheese?
Cheese and milk, like all that stuff. Like, what happens with butter is they cook a lot of the impurities out of it, and then you get butter. They cook more of the impurities out of it, it becomes ghee, Ghee, which has got a whole different flavor than butter. And so I want to have the purest form of the nutrient without all the filler is what I'm looking for.
Do you get the mucus with the goat cheese too?
I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. But please come back and tell me. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how long has it
Yeah,
been?
yeah. Oh, did he? Yeah. You know, and the biggest thing is like, it's like what Keith said, and like what I mentioned is like, you know, to get super strict with it and cut it all out. It's like doing the whole life challenge right now. Like what we're all involved in. And if you're online and don't know what it is, look up wholelifechallenge.com, and we'll be doing it again in a couple months or a few months. But, you know, like one of the things not to eat there is rice, you know, and one of the things to eat is brown rice. Strangely enough, if you're a vegetarian, they offer that, which to me is not the way that I would have put that together, because I think white rice is healthier for you than brown rice, because the access to lectin that you're opening yourself up to with brown rice for one thing. But the other thing is the reason I'm not eating rice, which I'm not opposed to generally in my normal diet. Look at that bulletproof coffee. The reason I'm not opposed to it is because I think it helps me. It's a nice starch. It fills my diet. Like Keith said, I'm big, and like sometimes like I'll do refeed. That's what I meant to say is I'll refeed. I won't always keep under 100 grams of carbohydrates a day. Like once or twice a week, I'll eat 300 or 400, 500 grams of carbs. I'll eat as many sweet potatoes and yams and kind of nutrient dense foods that I can, and do that, because what I'd found as I was ketogenic for like 3 months. I felt like I peaked for a long time. It was awesome. And then I started feeling bad again. And what was happening was I had a cortisol overload that was going on. And so then I just started adjusting things. So it's all just been learning for me. I've been on an experiment, like I said. And but the reason I'm not eating rice for the next 2 months is for the simple fact that I agreed to do this challenge. And that's my word. And so I'm going to try to keep that. And I think there's something highly valuable in following that, just as far as discipline of what I'm putting in my mouth. To exact more discipline, wherever I can exact more discipline in my life, I become a higher elevated being. And it's just happened in all different ways in my life. And so I can do that for 2 months. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that's why it's important to me, because it brings my consciousness to a higher level of what I'm taking in my body. And that's something that is interesting to me. Yeah. What do I think about decaf bulletproof coffee is I think that caffeine, one of the things about, we'll go ahead with this bears on the toxins that are within our coffee.
Yeah, I don't know about decaf. I know Dave Asprey has a decaf out now that he says is safe. I just know there's a lot of carcinogens in the process that they use to remove the caffeine. So I'm not.
What I know about it and what I learned from Dave before he went into his decaf coffee, and I don't know anything about his. I didn't even know that, but is that caffeine is so bulletproof coffee, basically, if you're drinking blends, any kind of blends, it comes from all different places. It's 95% sure that that's toxic coffee, that you have molds that generate on beans. People take, and the reason there are blends is because it's cheaper coffee to buy. Coffee is a huge traded item. And so they can take all the slough off of all the different beans, put it all together, sell it, boom, that's the Starbucks blend. Pikes Peak, good luck, or whatever, right? And so when I first got interested in bulletproof coffee, what Dave posited to me was, do you ever feel like sluggish or like you could just crash after a cup of coffee? I said, absolutely. And he said, I need you to consider that you're poisoning yourself, that you're drinking toxic coffee. And I said, what's toxic coffee? And he said, there's these molds that attach to coffee beans. Coffee beans sometimes sit and just dry in the sun. They're moisture between the ground and the beans, and they're just all cut off, stacked on top of each other, and it's how it's cared for. It's how it's produced. So that being the case, there's higher grades of coffee beans than others. If you're getting a single origin coffee from a farm that you know of, or that is what it is, it's a small yield farm, it's probably a pure kind of coffee without toxins on it, right? You can guess. The only way to know is to test it, of course. So Keith and I are really proponents of this kind of low yielding, high output coffee that is a pure form that doesn't have molds on it. Like, and so we know a roaster. We're working with a guy, and we're making our own blend of coffee, and we've got our own roasts that are pivoted out, and we just started an LLC called Pirate Life, and we're gonna be selling that coffee, and we'll sell bulletproof blends and kits and all that kind of stuff with it. The thing about the toxins are that they're more attracted to decaf, because caffeine is a natural repellent to a lot of molds. And I didn't know that until I really dove into looking at coffee, because I love coffee, right? And so I haven't looked at it like that. I've had guys talk to me, though, through Twitter and stuff, that have talked a lot about teas that they use that they like in a bulletproof aspect. And that's where bulletproof actually came from. Was Dave was traveling, I think, through Nepal or Tibet, and yak butter tea was something that was huge there, and people talked about the kind of function they were getting with it, and so that's kind of where the idea came from. And I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Yeah.
Sensitive how? Like it just get
So the question is that caffeine really affects her and gets her amped up and jazzed up, and I think I already know what Keith's going to say.
It could be the kind of coffee that you're drinking and the quality of the coffee bean. Like if you're doing a Starbucks blend, like who knows what you're getting. It's almost like getting a hamburger at McDonald's. Like what
Yeah.
and there's a lot of things too, like there's a lot of like single origin coffee. Like I got coffee for Kenyan coffee. It could be from 1,000 different farms in Kenya. If you can pinpoint it to one farm, and just if you pinpoint it to one farm, it doesn't mean it's a quality controlled farm. I mean, you got to do a little bit of research in that, and that's why Tait and I were so stoked when we found these guys in Albuquerque that have the family farm.
Yeah, they're Colombian dudes that have a family farm that they go back to, and that's their whole business, and it's fascinating how hands-on they are. But the other thing is that like the jitteriness and all that of regular coffee, I don't find that with, but I'm a coffee drinker though. But a lot of people have told me they don't get the jitters from it like that. They get more like an elevated consciousness. They're awake, but they're not like, they don't feel a speediness or a rushness from it. And I don't know if that's part and parcel of the induction of high fats in it also that does that a little bit. I do know that there's a lot of studies that are right now going in about MCT oil and grass-fed butter and how it works with the nootropics that are within the coffee bean besides caffeine that can access your brain. I mean, it's a big topic, but yeah, I'll just do a little research and find out, and I'll look into it. I know there's a bunch of people that are probably listening right now and that I know that enjoy that way. Yeah.
We got to do
Are you on a microphone right now? No. Ruben, come here. Come on up. Ruben's got an answer to this question, but he's so shy, even though he's very, very handsome.
He's had to get his face on the camera right there.
Right. So yeah, I used to feel like that too. Like I didn't used to like coffee, and my dad is a big coffee drinker, so like I grew up around it, but I never wanted it because
You're missing out.
I used to drink it, and I'd feel like I don't know, like crazy, like jittery, and I didn't like that. It almost felt like poison too, and then it would hurt my stomach. So I didn't really drink it, and I never liked it. And even when Tait started drinking Bulletproof, he was like, "Hey, check out this Bulletproof coffee," and I was just like, I'm not a big coffee drinker. I don't rely on it. I don't like to drink it. I also didn't like the idea of like relying on caffeine. Like, you know how you see, like I watch my dad in the mornings and he's like a zombie until he has his coffee. And so I was like, I never want to be like that, And with the Bulletproof coffee, it doesn't hurt my stomach anymore. And it's the butter that whatever it does, like coats my stomach. I don't know what it does, but it doesn't make my stomach hurt anymore. And because I've tried it both ways. So I've had Ohori's coffee with butter and without butter. And even the same coffee, just black, will hurt my stomach. I guess the acidity or whatever it is, I'm not sure. But
that's what now I'm gonna get excited. That's what me and Tait are so excited about. With the Colombians, we found this new roast of coffee. I've been giving this white coffee. Heard about Tait and I were tweeting about white coffee a lot. We just gave it to. It's even less acidic. It's not roasted so far, so a lot of the bit.
I had some this morning.
It's more of a nutty, kind of a clean taste. It's not that bitterness and
Yep.
acidity that we
Yep.
normally associate with coffee. And it is just, it is so smooth, and we are so excited to bring this thing out.
And I think like the whole thing about mold and all that too is it's like you really are poisoning yourself if you're drinking cheap coffee, and I think that's what makes you feel jittery, and then you get that crash and stuff, and so I think if you have good coffee and you have the butter and you have the MCT, it's so smooth, like you almost don't even feel when you come off of it, you know what I mean? Instead of like you're really high and then you crash, it's like you really feel good and then you just like easily smooth out of it. And I don't ever feel like I need it. Like people always ask me, well, I don't want to become dependent on coffee. And there's days I drink it and there's days I don't, you know, and it's like some days I fast with it in the mornings and some days I eat big breakfast, you know, and it's just like I don't feel like I need it, but I love the way I feel when I drink it, you know, so.
What's your opinion on microwaves?
I don't use microwaves. I stopped using it. I don't know a lot of the science behind it. I just heard it zaps a lot of the nutrients in the food and zaps a lot of the nutrients in the food.
The question was, what about the use of microwaves? Do we do that or not?
That's kind of funny. I'll go into something else right now. Like as we get into stuff, like some things you ask me about microwaves, smart people told me not to use it. I didn't care about researching that, so I don't use microwaves. But I do know it zaps a lot of nutrients, and I want to cook it on low temperatures in the oven and on the stove. And
I did warm up. I did warm up coffee in the microwave this morning,
Ooh.
and then I got judged.
Yeah.
But mostly, man, I've just been friendly with pans, and I like.
That's not Dave.
If I don't know, I'm not doing it. I don't go through the goddamn thing at the airport. I've got an injury. I'm sorry, I can't go in there. I'm medically exempt. And then they said, "What's your injury?" I said, "You can't ask me that." And then they said, "Well, yeah, we can." I said, "No, that's infringing on my privacy as an American." And they said, "Well, you can't tell us what your injury is." I said, "How about I've been afflicted with freedom?" And and I don't do it. I won't go in there. I say I can't raise my arm over. I've got a shoulder injury. I'm not doing it. I will not do it. I've got a guy, like, I don't know what the job stipulation is at the TSA. I think the only requirement is that you're shaped like a pear, though, and that you're not very bright. Because I talk to a lot of those guys in my travels, and I got a guy reading a placard going, "No, it's completely safe. See, the NSA and everybody." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess you can trust those guys. Ask any Afghani. They're trustworthy folks." I'm just not doing it, man. If I'm skeptical about it and it's my health, man, that's my life. And I know that you don't care about it, but I care about it. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. And I just put it through that. It comes back to value and empowerment of yourself. And in this information age, it's all we really have. You know, the biggest revolutionary act you can do right now is take care of yourself and vote with your dollars. You know, your vote doesn't mean a whole lot anywhere. I don't know that anybody really believes in the system of government we have set up right now. I think if I vote in the local government, it matters if I know those people. But at any level past a governor, I'm like, they're so compromised at that level, there's no way. There's too much money involved. If there's a third party, awesome. They got a third check for that asshole too. I don't believe it. But I do know that I can pay money for an organic farmer versus something that comes off a Cisco truck. I do know that I can vote with my dollars. I do know that if I want to go to the drugstore, that I don't have to go to 7-Eleven and see a goddamn another blight on our horizon in America of another shitty fucking convenience store. I know that. And maybe it won't stop the problem, but I know that I'm making a difference for myself. You know, I'm not the guy. So I look at it like that, you know. And like I said, whatever anybody does, man, how to the degree that you want to love yourself, do that. Or don't. But know. When I knowingly can look in Mrs. Bauer's eyes and I can know that tab's sitting next to her and she doesn't care and she's going to take another drink and she's going to die from that. That's gutting, man. That's a sobering idea for me. And so I kind of look at stuff on that spectrum now, and I'm trying to view it like that, you know. And it's a family, you know. This whole thing, this right here, this is what I can create a difference in. And globally, it's no different. We're a family in that way. Does my vote matter? No, but maybe my voice does. You know, there's a friend of ours, this guy Mask, that died, and he owned a T-shirt company, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it turned into $1 billion company, and he was selling T-shirts when we started grappling out of the back of a trunk, and he'd set up a table like this and sell T-shirts, and now it's everywhere, and he's dead now, but he's one of my favorite quotes. He's like the most inspirational. He's a guy like, he was with you when you're right there, and I get goosebumps talking about him. But he said, maybe I won't touch 1 million people, but maybe I'll touch one guy that touches 1 million people. And that's the thing, your voice creates waves, and what I do, how I move through life creates waves. And I don't know what that's going to be. And so I'm trying to do better than I did yesterday. And that's kind of that. And this is our first time doing this for Keith and I. We've never done this before. But I don't know. It's 5 o'clock, and I want to end on time and keep integrity of our time and your time and be conscious of that. But and there's bulletproof coffee here that's been made, and thank you all for coming. If there's any last questions, I guess, before we close up, or if Keith's got any last things to say.
That's good. Did you want
Yeah, sure.
Go some websites?
Oh, yeah, man. I don't know if anybody's written down all the websites that we've talked about, but yeah, let's do that.
Well, we want to get it.
Go ahead.
We want to get it on. We want to record the websites.
Right.
Yeah. So let's just say them real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. This is like, again, this is what it's all about. Is like you guys came here, you made a big step to trying to listen to us idiots talk about nutrition and whatnot. Like it's a big step, and we just implore you to go forward and just empower yourself with knowledge. And here's a few sites and a few places that me and Tait use all the time.
So at Original Nutritionals is originalnutritionals.com. That's ORIGINALNUTRITIONALS.com. Is our friend Logan's fish oil company, and he also has a great. I was part of a beta group of this great almond. It was like almond butter, coconut butter, and coffee all mixed together in just goodness. And he's got that too on his site now. Sells a great fish oil. It's a great place for information. He's got a great blog he writes all the time. SFH.com is a company called Stronger, Faster, Healthier. They also sell fish oil, high-grade fish oil, and they sell different protein powders. Artisana.com is where I get my coconut butter from. They sell coconut oil, sell a variety of things. CrossFitLA.com is a place where there's just a bunch of workouts, and there's some good motivational blogs that are there. That's just CrossFitLA.com. RobWolf.com, ROBBWOLF. Am I going too fast?
I gotcha.
Mark's Daily Apple, and that's Mark Sisson's website, and he's got a great blog that he has going. Bulletproofexec.com, and that's a guy named Dave Asprey's site. And all these guys have podcasts as well. What else you got?
That's it. The podcast, man. Like, there's so much information out there. That's part of like we're in the new information age. Is we don't listen to turn on the AM radio and listen to one of our two choices. I mean, like talk radio now is like on podcast form. You can listen to anything you want driving around in your car and empower yourself by listening to Dave Asprey. I love every single guest he has on his. I mean, it's very informative. So again, that's me again, just imploring you guys to go out and start to research stuff on your own.
Yeah, MobilityWod. Yeah, please help me. MobilityWod.com is a great place. It's another free site where a guy that's a real movement genius has got like 2 to 5 minute videos every day of how you can mobilize every day at home, and a lot of that speaks to like sliding tissue and which is what that inflammation that Keith's been talking a lot about, what it'll counter. And so I want to get all my fascia moving. I want to be able to move all my joints. I don't like, everybody talks about stiffness or I can't get out of bed right or all that kind of stuff. But the fact is that I've got a responsibility to myself. Like I'm letting myself fall into disrepair if I'm not steadily moving towards a greater movement, especially as I get older. Like I can't say that enough. Workoutofthedaytogo.com. That's WORKOUTOFTHEDAYTOGO.com. is great. There's a lot of great great meals on there all the time. There's workouts that you can do in hotel rooms that you don't need any equipment for at all. There's good resources like that all over. And just if you start looking for those little resources, like a whole world's going to pop up. You look at deucegym.com is another one. DEUCEGYM.com is another buddy of mine. That's got great stuff out there that he blogs every day about movement, about empowerment, about accountability, and about looking for excellence in your life. What else? CrossFit Santa Fe and Undisputed. There's great blogs on there, workouts every day. You kind of get to see what's going on here a little bit. What am I missing, boys? Anything? If you want to learn how to strangle people, you guys interested in that at all? Yeah, right? Right? So 10thplanetjujitsu.com, you can look there and you can yeah, it's 10thplanetjj.com, just JJ. And there's a great television show that's put out every week there that is really interesting to watch. So and it's entertaining. JJ. I think that's it. What else?
Hey, I'm just humbled by anybody that got to this point. You guys sticking around, and
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody
Yeah.
stiff. And so let us know. I don't know. We'd love to set up another time to do more of this. Go into more details on subsections of this. Just going into the whole coffee thing and into movement and mobility and different things that Keith and I do. I'm really into body weight movements and CrossFit style workouts, and then like combat oriented stuff. But Keith's got a whole wheelhouse of sandbag movements, of TRX stuff, and yoga that I've been really excited about lately. So there's a world out there for full movements, and that's it.
We didn't even talk about chocolate or salt.
We didn't even talk about chocolate or salt. We got so much more. I mean, really. And thank you all. Thanks everybody listening on the internet. Thanks a bunch.